better leave it to the professionals.
Blessed by Bundy, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like the Brown James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. Reviews not falling for the FOMO. Listening to Coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum NFTs. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I gotta shout out
Started
the
off with a
party.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Freaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits, yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, mighty, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. I had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the drive with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and Steve for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, GM, or Clawfee Tuesday, or Clocko Tuesday, whatever you'd prefer to call it today. Appreciate y'all being here. Drop us a GM in the chat down below. If you haven't already done so, head up top, smash that like, repost, and bookmark on today's space. You'll also find the space, or the abstract chat up there, as well as YouTube, and we're live from Steve's X video feed. Speaking of abstract, as you're over there on Steve's account today, make sure you smash that follow button. Follow is now live on Abstract, so not sure what that will trigger or how that looks going forward, but let's go ahead and front run a bunch of follows on Steve's account today. I would greatly appreciate that from my buddy over there. Morning, Diabolito, Clay, RDL, Von Frunton, and Hizzy in the YouTube streets. YouTube is off the chart here lately. As always, I'm Cap, Jim, my co-host Steve. Never any financial advice in the show. Crypto is risky, NFTs are risky, meme coins exceptionally risky. Go to zero to moment's notice. Please don't put any money in you can't afford to lose. And know that Steve and I likely hold tokens that we'll talk about from time to time. We are not financial advisors, certainly not your financial advisor.
I throw you off with the non-muted throat clear.
It's so wild. As I literally, it's like I hit a button in my head and it just goes. I don't even think about what I'm saying. I don't know if it comes out the same. Probably comes out different every time because I'm not reading from a script or anything. I just say it in like the littlest thing. It just like, I don't know. Maybe this is proof positive that I am ADHD or something, Steve. I've never actually been tested, but I know that squirrel can get me from time to time. So yeah, just don't join us. Just join us for some fun, some education, information along the way, and maybe a throat clear or two. Kiam, how you doing, Steve?
GM. Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm just a old man with a gunky throat. That's how I am, I guess, nowadays. Like you said, give us a like, a retweet, a comment, and follow us on Abstract. Yeah, I forgot the follow was introduced yesterday. So if you would be so kind, go over to my profile, Steve K. Bark, and give me a follow. GM Mesh, GM Teacher Katie, GM Diablito, Rare Ed, B Epic, Von Frunton, all of our folks in the triple chattors. We appreciate you so very much. Everybody else in the YouTube streets, we already put those GMs on the screen. So thank you for joining us this morning as well. GM to everybody over in the X space as well. Like, retweet, comment on the room. As we mentioned, we give things away. We're going to be giving away some claw polls today with Beezie. So we want to get some people in here. We also don't really sell things to you. So the best way you can pay us back is by liking and retweeting and commenting on the room, particularly on X, but certainly going into those other chats as well and commenting. Machiavelli, Hizzy, Mel, obviously always out there in the chat. Von Frunton, the triple chator. Micro coming up for Clocko Tuesday. Excited to have you up here in about a half hour or so. Dwayne, the Taco Tuesday, looking good there. Screenwriter Dave, OC, Aspiring Nobody, Joey Valls, Dort, Kazi, Clay, and all the good friends. Green Edge out there. Big Bear, good to see you out there as well. Love seeing our friends out there.
Happy birthday to Little Bear.
Oh, happy birthday. HBD, always a good one. Congrats on the trip around the sun to Little Bear as well. But Cap, it's funny, like you mentioned the sniffles. One thing, it's like, I know you are not a drinker, and sometimes we talk about this from time to time. I am not a heavy drinker. I go through spits and spurts sometimes, and I had taken like a little bit of a tolerance break on a lot of stuff. I had taken a tolerance break on booze for a couple of weeks. Man, when you drink even a little bit, sometimes you wake up like we had a couple drinks on Saturday and a couple drinks on Sunday. I swear I woke up yesterday like you have a low-grade flu the day after. It's not great. So the older I get, the more it affects me on the next day. So it's not something that I'm giving up, but it is something I've noticed I've used more sparingly, because when you're in your 20s, you wake up the next day like at 6 a.m. and you're fine. When you're in your 40s, you wake up the next day after a couple glasses of wine. And yeah, yesterday it was it affects me entirely the next day now, which is a very old thing to say, but it's just how it is. So been seriously considering my strategy on stuff like that as well. So I don't know. It's a whole different ball game. I'm sure you just wake up clear-headed every single day now, thanks to your lack of drinking. But that's been my experience a little bit lately, which is when I drink. I mean, makes sense. When I drink less, my tolerance goes down, and then I feel worse the next day. So it's like this weird paradoxical thing where it's like, I don't want to constantly be drinking, but it's
do not miss the hangover whatsoever. I mean, keeping it real, occasionally will miss like just tying one off and losing all inhibitions and just getting a little little out of control. But I do not miss the hangover whatsoever. It's not worth the trade-off for me. And yeah, as I aged, as I hit like, since it's been 7 years, so I would have been like, like mid-30s, I think is when it really hit me to where, like, not even exaggerating, the hangover could be like a 48-hour endeavor, like feeling awful the next day and then dragging into the following day. I'm like, yeah, this is just too much.
Yeah, it's when you're doing it, like, it's funny. Like, because I even if it's just like a glass of whiskey here or there, whatever it is, it's like, it's just, it'll get you. And like, so I've been a little more strategic with it lately. Like, I think I looked at my, I have like this little health tracker I do, which I've been doing for the year in a Google sheet. And I think in the past, I want to say 3 weeks, I realized how consistent I've been, where it's like in past 3 weeks, I've drank 3 times, so once a week. But I've basically all but like lifted all but I think 5 days, ran all but 3 days, and stretched all but 2 days. Meaning like I've basically like been like consistent with lifting, running, stretching, and I've been consistent with not drinking, and I do feel better. And my diet's getting slightly better, so it's just just trying to slowly but surely ease myself into a better version of myself. So but yeah, it's working. We'll see if it kicks throughout the year. But
speaking of diets, we went all in on the we upgraded Duke. He's now on straight, like, I spend more time food prepping for my dog than I do myself. Do you do dry dog food, or what do you feed your doggos?
We have the dry dog food that the breeder person recommended that they use, that they think is real, that the highest quality for them. So we use that, and then occasionally give them treats, but they are healthy puppos. I don't remember exactly what it is. It's a large breed blend that is like some sort of like good large breed dry blend, but they get like some healthy human food from time to time. Like, it's like, we're not like whipped cream on top of our food. It's like carrots, freaking cucumbers. Our 60-pound lab, she has never found a food she doesn't like. My other dog's a little more particular, but he likes like apples and chicken and beef and things like that. And that tends to be what they get. Now they get the occasional, my son doesn't finish his chicken nuggets, so they're going to clean that up a little bit. But generally speaking, I mean, my 5.5-year-old is now down to about 82 pounds, which is like a really healthy weight. Like, he's fighting shape. He was 98 at one point before he got our other dog. Yeah. And like, what's weird was at 98.
That's actually that's like, I mean, that's a pretty big drop. And it didn't, from the pictures I've seen, didn't look unhealthy, but it's just like really leaned out. And
yeah, he looks like he went to Gold's Gym now. Like, it's like previously he like was bigger, but like I would say maybe dad bod. I don't think he was fat at the moment, because he is like a large Labrador. Like, he is not a small Labrador. He is a Labrador that could go between, like, I think anywhere from like 80 to 100 pounds is a range he could like live in. But he was like, you couldn't quite see his ribs and things, which you're supposed to with labs. Now he's down to like 82, 83 pounds, and he's just muscly. And our other dog is about 60 to 65 pounds, and she's, but she's still a year and a half. She's going to grow a little bit more. I think she's going to settle in between 65 and 70. But yeah, they eat healthy. They get a lot of exercise, and it's mostly dry food. But are you like a wet food dog preparer for Duke, or how does that work?
Just recently have transitioned. Yeah. I mean, we did the dry dog food for all the other dogs, and, good high quality one. Started Duke on that. That's what he was on when we got him. And I don't know. I have the ability to do it. And so yeah, he's on like chicken and rice, and then alternating like actual real like chicken and rice with like this higher end raw frozen food that just, thaw. It's like little nuggets, just thawed out. And yeah, he's spoiled. TLDR, my dog is spoiled.
Yeah, I'd love to, like, we don't have the time for the full-on prep. We've considered something like a farmer's dog, but like, honestly, like,
it's so expensive. So I looked at farmer's dog, and that's where I was going to go. And I was like, it's more expensive than I spend on my own meals a day. And I was like, I can, like, the ingredients are, it's great that it's not like loaded with a bunch of junk, but it's also like, okay, I'm capable of making the same thing. So now I'm like going through like finding the best, like, consistent scalable process. Like, do I just buy a whole turkey once a week? Like, these are the conversations.
Rotisserie chicken or whatever. I mean, look, I can barely prep food for myself. So it's like,
I know I'm actually more doing, like I said, spending more time prepping food for my dog than myself.
Yeah, I have this conversation. I irrationally love my dog, like uncomfortable amount that I love. When he lays with me, he is like always there. Like, one thing I don't take for granted, and I say out loud regularly, is like, if I'm working in the basement, the dogs don't come down here because my puppy is upstairs in her crate during this time because she can't quite be trusted just yet at a year and a half. My other Labrador, he hangs with her while she's in her crate. So I don't want to bring him down here for that. But rest of the time during the day, if I'm upstairs eating, they're right next to me. If I go upstairs on my bed where I like to work, they're sitting next to me. It's like, I don't take for granted that you always have that warm body next to you. It is something that is really, really special.
Shit, since we're on dogs, and this will get us out of the quote open. Did you see my post this weekend on Instagram by chance?
I did, and I remember liking it, but I don't remember what it was.
So there is, I walk, I mean,
the old man. Yep.
Yeah, several miles every day. And, several people hello, just niceties, like how good afternoon, good morning, etc. I'm not an asshole. I'm like an outgoing person. This is just me. This is my personality. If I see someone, I'll at least nod or acknowledge, or, I will, but I don't stop and have a full blown conversation. Most of these people, I don't know their names. Like, it's more of a casual nicety, not a I'm going to stop and chat with this person for 10 or 15 minutes. Well, long story short, I was out this weekend walking Duke, and he like stopped and he just like pulled me to go up this, like started pulling up to the side, which is weird for him because he's not like some dogs will like tug. He's a really good dog. Like he just walks, he doesn't pull. He's a just lucked out. Like he came out of the box like house trained, and he's a good walker. Like he's just a good dog. Anyways, I look up and there's this older gentleman sitting on his porch. Like, hey, you want to go say hi? And long story short, went up on this old guy's porch and started talking to him. Turns out this guy, his name was Frank, and long story short, he lost his wife like a month ago, and he shared with us, like he and his wife were big friends of Duke. Cause like when Duke gets a stick, he like prances all around, he shakes it, like he gets really proud of his sticks, and he'll get like huge sticks, sometimes bigger than himself, like a tree branch. And he shared with us how much his wife would, laughed at that and liked it. And anyways, like Duke knew this guy was like down or needed some love. And I'll share some photos. Like he's also a puppy, keep in mind, he's a year-old puppy. So he's very hyper and excited at times, but he just completely like just plopped down at Frank's feet, leaned into him, gave him some big hugs. And as if he knew Frank was in the need of some love this weekend. But yeah, it was very, dogs are just awesome. I don't know, like I know not everyone's a dog fan, but we often don't deserve them. They are just, you talk about intuition, and maybe not every dog, but the dogs I've had, and Duke is certainly one of them, that just intuition on another level.
I grew up not with dogs in my household because nobody wanted to take care of them. My mom didn't want to take care of it. My dad wasn't around very much. And so, he traveled a bunch. So I grew up not around dogs, and I was a big not dog person. I'm like, I had cats. I'm like, why would I want to walk something and pick up after it like that? And then I got a dog recently, and it's like changed my life. It's like this, like I'm the guy who like, we're not going to get a dog. And then it's me with like the dog, like the Keanu Reeves meme with like the dog on his shoulders going around, like taking on the world. It's like, he is my buddy. He is my best friend. He is somebody who I definitely appreciate having around. But let's do this. We're going to go to Joey here in a second. Like, retweet, comment on the room if you have not already on X. As we mentioned, we don't sell things. We give things away here, basically. So doing us a favor, the best you can do for us is to get people in the room. We're going to be talking Web3. I actually have kind of a hot take this morning I want to get through a little bit, as well as some news. We're going to have Microcomp do Clawfee with Captain around 8:35. We'll pick two other people. So you want to be in the chats right now if you have not been somebody who has gotten the chance to pick Clawfee with Captain, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're in the X chat, whether you are in the abstract chat. Let us know if you want to get in Clawfee with Captain so we can get you a Beezie pull with the opportunity to potentially win cards that could be worth quite a bit. And you can do swap or not. You must have a Beezie account. So Cap, I don't know if while I'm talking to Joey, if you want to link up top our Beezie ref link that we will push for people to get signed up. And we'll get that going. But Joey, GM,
guys. I was going to wait until the coffee segment to say anything, but you were talking about dog food. So I have a friend of mine. He's the owner of the gym I go to, and his dog got a little older and noticed, that she was just getting sluggish and wasn't very active. And he tried all kinds of different dog foods and whatever. And finally he made the decision, basically like on Sunday, he takes like a giant stew pot, right? Essentially takes all the racks out of his oven. And takes a big stew pot and just fills it with rice, raw chicken, carrots, like sweet potatoes, just throws it into a giant pot with chicken broth and water, and then just lets it cook for a few hours. So the rice cooks, the chicken cooks, etc. And that's what he feeds his dog for the week. And he said his dog's older. We're talking, she's a big pit bull, probably like in the 75 to 80 pound range. And she's probably getting close to 15 or around 15. So, movement's getting difficult. He said when he switched to that, it took like 5 years off her life. He doesn't put any supplements. He just literally feeds her like white rice, chicken, carrots, sweet potatoes, whatever, makes a giant pot on Sunday. It lasts the whole week, and it took like 5 years off his dog's like life from like an activity perspective. So
took off 5 years or added 5 years?
What'd you say, Cap?
Took off 5 years or added 5 years?
Took off 5 years. So she started acting like she was young again.
Oh, I got you.
And it just goes to show you. Yeah, it just goes to show you that like we say for humans all the time, right? Like we are what we eat, right? Like if we eat shit, then we're gonna feel like shit. If we, like Steve said, if you drink a lot, blah blah blah. It's the same for our pets, right? Like if you want your dogs, your cats, your whatever animals you have to live like a long, healthy life, be mindful of what you feed them, right? Like just going and buying like Walmart brand kibble, right, which is full of all kinds of junk food, probably isn't going to be the best thing for your dog. Now, granted, some people, it's what they can afford, and I understand. But if you can provide like better food for your pets, they will live longer and healthier. And so that's my my add to the food topic for your dog.
Yep. What you put in your body affects you the same way it does animals. So, it's our food system has been gotten pretty bad, but just do your best and you can feel a difference. I mean, when I'm eating a lot of processed and ordered food, I feel a whole lot different than I do when I am not. But Cap, that said, I have a couple things I want to cover today. I'm going to start with one that I'm probably going to put a pin in till later, which is, well, there's a couple things that I have on my list. One, Kraken is getting into stock trading. I think that's a larger discussion about some interesting everything apps that we talked about last week, even with gambling apps. So I want to get into that a little bit and revisit something you had said last week. MicroStrategy continues to go hog wild on Bitcoin, purchased 3,459 Bitcoin worth 285 million. That's about 82,000, 83,000 per Bitcoin that they went for. Bitcoin, I see people doubling down on it. I'm seeing a lot of people on the timeline who are getting right back into Bitcoin, putting more money into miners. I'm continuing my tiny little farming strategy, which has low risk and minimal upside, which I think is totally fair. And then I have this take that I want to discuss, which is probably going to save for after Clawfee with Captain, but we want to throw out there, which is while NFTs are back, it seems like, as far as like people buying them, you're seeing CryptoPunk sales and Bored Ape sales and Xcopy sales. Are PFP communities basically dead? Like, it's a conversation I think I want to entertain maybe later on where...
Boy, that's like you're setting up. I was like, oh, this is going to be one we'll punt for later. Not a big deal. That's a spicy one there, Steve. I don't know if that's just a flyover conversation. That's a pretty intense
That's why I'm saying I think we save that one for, because in 10 minutes here, we're going to be pulling claws probably. So again, if you're there, first of all, a couple things you want to do. If you're on Abstract, follow me on Abstract. I'm going to be checking that list first. So if you're following me on Abstract and you want the opportunity to get a Beezie Claw pull, here's what you need to do. One, you need to make sure you're signed up for Beezie. We have a ref link. We have a ref link pinned up top. So if you are watching us on YouTube or the Abstract chat, just go over to X, click on the live show that Capper and myself have, look to the pin up top. You will see a Beezie ref link. You want to sign up for Beezie, number one. If you're on Abstract, number two, follow me on Abstract. Go to my account, follow me, follow Cap. Make sure that you're following us. It lets people know potentially when you go live. I'm guessing they're going to integrate some push notifications there. Certainly doesn't hurt, especially with us streaming, to have followers on Abstract. So follow us over on Abstract. That'll be super helpful. And then three, let us know if you want to be in the claw poll. So if you want the opportunity to win one of these, collectibles from Beezie, some vaulted grails that are over there, let us know. We will have Swap or Not coming up with Micro in here, but we will get two people from the chat who will potentially get claw polls to pick. So want to let us know about that. I see some people over in the Abstract chat. So a lot of those active people in the Abstract chat, I'll probably choose one of you, but make sure you're following us. Make sure we get that going as we continue to rock. So
I gotta ask real quick, Rare Ed, is that real? He says we got plenty of fresh kangaroo meat here. Best lean meat for dogs. Do you actually feed dogs kangaroo meat? Is that a thing?
Probably. I mean, yeah, Rare Ed, do you actually feed kangaroo meat? Because they're like deer in Australia. Like if you're golfing on a golf course in Australia, you're gonna see a roo. They generally scramble. Sometimes they try to fight you, just like deer. So yeah, I think it's certainly quite possible. So Cap, I guess like one to start with that we can maybe talk for about 10 minutes here is for people who missed it, Kraken has expanded beyond crypto. So this is, I think, a pretty big deal. Kraken has announced U.S. listed stock and ETF trading, commission free trading on 11,000 U.S. listed stocks and ETFs, now available for select U.S. clients. And they kind of mentioned it's a new era of Kraken. You can reinvest seamlessly, fractionalized trading, streamlined experience through the mobile app, their pro mobile app, and their pro web experience, sort of bridging the gap between traditional and digital finance. You can see the quote here: "Crypto isn't just evolving; it's becoming the backbone across for trading across asset classes such as equities, commodities, and currencies. As demand for a 24/7 global access grows, clients want seamless all-in trading experience. Expanding into equities is a natural step for us and paves the way for tokenization of assets. The future of trading is borderless and always on and built on crypto rails. Kraken will continue to lead this shift." So it's not, as I understand it, crypto-based stock trading, but they are introducing the ability to buy stocks on their app. One, is this a fumble by Coinbase, not having this first, right? Being so involved with the U.S. government, so involved in the U.S., and not having that equity-based trading. Two, I think this speaks a little bit, I think potentially more importantly, this speaks a little bit to what you were saying last week, where you talked about, look, if I'm on a gambling app, why do they not introduce crypto rails? Why is a gambling app not allowing me to have USDC earning 4 or 5% there? Because then I'm not going to take my money off the platform when I win. I'm going to leave it there earning that 3, 4, 5% USDC yield. They can make the money on the back end with yield too, so they're doing well there. And then for sort of that gambling app, they're keeping more liquidity on the platform, let you easily flip and trade around there. So you've mentioned this with gambling apps needing to introduce the crypto rails. Kraken is going sort of the other direction and introducing the traditional finance rails. Is this and then on the flip side of it, again, Coinbase hasn't introduced this feature yet. Places like Fidelity and other traditional brokerages haven't introduced the traditional crypto trading rails yet. Is Kraken ahead of its time? And is this going to be a huge potential land grab? Is this going to cause an avalanche of activity to get sort of the Fidelities of the world into crypto, and then get the sort of Coinbases in the world into stocks? I'm curious your thoughts on this, because I actually think this is really big news.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't want to say it's inevitable, but I just feel that that's where it's all heading. And I think we're maybe a year or two away from just 24/7 markets across the board. Why wouldn't they at this point?
Yeah, I mean, the 24/7 stock trading thing is one that makes me, I don't know if it's good or bad. I talk about it. It's probably coming regardless.
Mhm.
But the I don't know, the ability to do everything in one app, it's it makes me feel like, well, one, again, this is a big sign for crypto adoption to me. This is a huge positive sign for crypto adoption to me, because once you start crossing over, it's there's I remember seeing Kathy Wood speak at Consensus and her making this point of saying, people are like, well, why do you think traditional finance is going to get into crypto? And her answer was, look, when the returns on Bitcoin and Ethereum and all these other, not Ethereum, when the returns on Bitcoin and other crypto are outperforming traditional equities and they're part of our offerings, the other companies are simply going to be forced to get into this business. And I think Kraken getting into stocks is almost potentially forcing the hands of traditional brokerages to say, we probably want to give people the opportunity to be trading crypto on our platform on a regular basis. So I think that's the direction it's going. But I guess to me, I'm trying to think of other places where you would make this. Speaking of kangaroos, by the way, I'm wearing this Lululemon hoodie that my mom got me a decade ago or something. It has no kangaroo pouch. And it is the weirdest thing to me when I go to shove my arms in a kangaroo pouch and it's not there, which is traditional for me. So that's not fun. But yeah, I guess I started thinking what industries are going to, you mentioned the gambling industry. And I keep trying to think of gaming industries. At some point, if you're a gaming industry, is there another opportunity here where you have a stable coin on your platform instead of just that holds sort of, hey, load onto your stable coin, earn a yield on here. So your stable coin's growing. They're earning money on the yield on their end as a game. And then you end up using that USDC and spending it right on the platform in Robux or right on the platform in V-Bucks or whatever GTA does come the fall. And it feels like this, like, as small as this might seem, oh, Kraken makes sense for them to offer equities. It feels like it potentially opens up a new floodgate and a new arms race where they've thrown the first grenade. They've Ja Morant style. They're firing the first shot.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think you're right. I think it's the floodgates have opened, and maybe a year or two is too conservative. Like it could come really fast now. I just don't see why would others, now that the rails, the tech is there, it just seems like they're all going to vertically integrate. Like, why would they give up that piece of them? Why would they cut off that sector of the market, right? Why would they not participate? It just, and to your bigger point, I think this is just another step in terms of crypto just being normal. It's not going to be on chain. It's not going to be crypto. It's just like we don't make a big deal out of it when we log in somewhere and we can pay with a credit card or PayPal. It is what it is.
But it used to be, right?
Yep.
Like, I mean, paying with credit card, if you could find the old videos with like that Burger King video where like people are introduced, credit card payments, and people are like, never would I pay with a credit card, cash only. What is this newfangled credit card things? Or, not the exact example because it's not a financial thing, but I remember there's old videos you could find where people talk about seatbelts and why you should, and like when seatbelts were introduced as a regulation, and there's like a guy ripping a beer in his car, putting it into the cup holder and being like, I ain't wearing a seatbelt. And so you find like these like things that change that become normal later on. But the crypto, the credit card is very real, paying online banking. Like, I keep trying to explain to people, like, especially in this industry where we have a variety of age groups, when I talk to people who are in their, early 20s, they don't know a world where my parents wrote a check and then went to Macy's and handed it to someone to pay their bill, right? For Macy's, for their credit card bill, when there were even credit cards in the first place, let alone when cash was king, let alone calling in to pay a credit card bill, which my mom still does, by the way, for one of her bills. And then, versus online banking was unfathomable in the 90s and even early 2000s. It just wasn't something you did. And so, I would venture to guess there are people who are in their early 30s who have never written a check, right? And I think that that's just a crazy thought. And so the way the financial system expands, it seems like the crypto rails, as time goes on, it'll become less stigmatized and more, I don't know. One more thing, and that we can get to Clawfee with Captain here in a second, but I guess one more sort of thought here, which is, do you think crypto and how we pay for things are going to, the term cryptocurrency is going to be less of a, when you pay for things in USDC, is it just going to be yeah, I paid for it in insert coin, or there's going to be a different colloquial name, and then we just won't even think of it as crypto anymore? Do you think this is going to fade, or do you think it's always going to be nah, it's crypto? See what I'm saying? It's the way you're oh yeah, I wrote a check, I pay with my credit card, not or I don't know. Is it just going to be how do you pay for, how are you going to pay for it? Cash, US, is there going to be a term that goes away for it, I guess, is what I'm wondering.
I don't know. I mean, I think it'll always still be there to some degree. I just don't think it'll be a surprise when you log in and you see that as one of the options. I think it's close to getting integrated across the board, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't think, I think we'll see more of the crypto credit cards and stuff, where it's just we're not talking about that we're using crypto when we use crypto to pay for something. It just is what it is. It's just another vehicle. It's just the same as a credit card is a different form of payment than a check. So will be, crypto.
Cash credit crypto, cash credit crypto. Yeah. Cause dude, I'm so excited to see people clutch their pearls when that becomes a normal thing. Like, I'm actually kind of pumped for this. Like, I'm kind of pumped for the I'm kind of pumped for the time when we see, like, on the, like, end of, like, when you go to, like, a payout at Chipotle or whatever, and it's like cash, credit, crypto. Because you're already seeing, like, I've seen, like, Mika and Max go around with, like, the, MetaMask card and the Avalanche card and be like, look, I just paid for my coffee or my food using crypto. I'm kind of excited to see the days when it's like cash, credit, crypto on the options when you check out. And there's, like, people clutching their pearls with threads online being like, I cannot believe we're taking these scams online.
So I think that will be where it's talked about more in terms of, like, paying with crypto, is if these businesses start actually offering incentives. Like, you go to some places, there's a cash discount because they're not paying the credit card discount rate fee. If it becomes, if they complete all these integrations, and there is, it is more cost effective, it is lower fees, and businesses really want to lean into that and incentivize, that might be a spot where, I don't know, maybe not. I'm not, because you are talking very small percentages. So unless it's a big ticket item, probably no mention of it. I think it just becomes, like, hidden in the background as just another way. But there is a possibility that we see businesses push and incentivize crypto utilization.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's because it incentivizes for them. If they can make money on your money, it's like, it's a new thing. It's an area for businesses you haven't thought about, that if businesses can earn 4% on a stablecoin yield, I'm making it up, and they can give you a reward, a cashback reward for 2%, they still make 3% on that transaction by you paying in the USDC and keeping it there. And let alone if you look at a video game, like a company that, is like a Roblox or a Minecraft, that could say, yeah, we're going to have crypto on here, and we're going to be earning 5% against this money. And you can, you can earn X percentage while you're here. It's like you're more likely to keep it on platform. So I think that there is a world of possibilities it opens up and gets people, going. But Joe, I see your hand up. Go ahead and get in here on this one.
I was trying to listen while also doing some work. Is Kraken allowing you to buy stocks with crypto?
I don't believe so. So I have not seen that in the release. That did not appear to be part of it. It seems logical, but I did not see that in the release. I only saw that they're introducing traditional equities on the platform. So they're just offering another investment vehicle, which, by the way, perfect time to do it, because with stocks going down, like people say, like, I mean, you asked me a couple weeks ago what I was buying when we were hitting these tariff issues, and my answer was, I don't know, traditional stocks. Like I'm buying money in my IRA and things like that because it's down. So, I think it's just another offering as far as I've seen so far. I haven't seen, I have not.
That would be cool if they have like a, like we use Relay at Beezie, but if there was a way where Kraken was like, oh yeah, you can use your ETH to buy, stock in Ford, and on the back end we convert it for you or something. That would be really cool if it gets to that point to where you don't even have to have USD or on the platform. You can literally just use your crypto and they swap it for you.
Yeah, I don't think we're far off on that. Go ahead, Cap.
I'd say this is just, I feel, a pretty strong statement from Kraken's co-CEO. It says crypto isn't just evolving, it's becoming the backbone for trading across asset classes, such as equities, commodities, and currencies. I mean, clients want a seamless, all-in-one trading experience. Yeah, it just does seem like I don't see a world where all of them don't go to a similar platform. Like, it was one thing talking about gambling apps and being able to buy or swap into crypto on there. For trading apps, when that's what they do, I don't see a future where you'll only be able to trade traditional stocks or you'll only be able to trade crypto. Like, you'll be now that it's heading this way, I see the future very soon, probably. You'll be able to trade all asset classes on all these. This is also, the other part of this article says, I saw that this is part of their prep for possible IPO.
Yeah, which is also a brilliant move by them to make their IPO a little bit more attractive as well. So no, good for Kraken. Like, I think it's a big deal, and I think it opens up a world of possibilities. But look, that said, let's do Beezie Claw. We'll talk a little more. I have a spicy discussion for later on today, which I know has already evoked some emotion about PFPs, but let's do some Beezie Claw and bring in our guy Micro.
Coffee with Captain. Give that claw a spin. Raw chick grills from BC. Prizes within. Mystery and magic. Where to begin? Coffee with Captain. It's your time to win.
It is time for Clawfee with Captain, one of our fun, exciting segments brought to you by our friends over at Beezie, the best marketplace for resellers, from Pokemon and One Piece to cards to sneakers, video games, and comics. This is funny. So here's a little behind the scenes for you. I have 65 tabs open, and I went to pull up my tab and accidentally closed it for my Clawfee with Captain read. So we're just going to run that one back for our friends over at Beezie. Clawfee with Captain is brought to you by Beezie, the best marketplace for resellers, from Pokemon and One Piece cards to sneakers, video games, comics, and more. All collectibles are stored securely in a Brinks vault and can be redeemed at any time. Plus, it's the only place you'll find the Claw, which is what we're here to do today with our guy Micro. So I'm going to share a screen here in a second, but before we get into it, Micro, GM, give a little intro about yourself. Obviously, you show up to we met in real life. You're part of our community. You have several copies of the Everything token that are very rare that most people don't have. GM, give a little intro for yourself.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Thank you. Thanks for having me up. Excited about the poll. So my background's in unique item serialization. So about 2008-9, I joined a company that was putting two-dimensional barcodes on branded products. So we did that at Converse, Nike, Saucony, Wolverine Worldwide, a bunch of footwear brands, and basically expanded that to help them with their manufacturing, logistics, track and trace, and some point of sale data. But we always lost track of it when it was sold to the consumer. We couldn't track the product's full life cycle. And so around 2018, I started getting more interested in blockchain. I left that company and started learning about NFTs. And with the current smart tagging technology, DNA, NFC chips, and the prevalence of everybody carrying a reader in their phone, the ability to track products until they're in the consumer's hands and then what they're doing with them is more readily available. So really got into the space to make that happen. I initially joined a company called ShopX. They were a decentralized e-commerce platform that kind of turned into token gating and loyalty rewards. Since left there, kind of trying to run my own shop, which is a hybrid approach of the Web 2 track and trace smart tagging, and then a future state where we'll be able to put that information on chain. So that's kind of how I got here, what I've done, why it's important to me, and but I also see, you were kind of mentioning communities, and I see them as the first user base. So interested in how these communities grow and how they help the brands evolve as this technology emerges, because there's a lot of pitfalls in terms of larger enterprise brands turning it on immediately. It'll be a consumer demand that brings it more than these brands wanting to add it initially. So it's kind of me, kind of why I'm here. Love the show. As you mentioned, got a couple copies of the book. My unsigned copy is on a library shelf somewhere. I've been reading it. And then Cap, I realized, huge miss. I see your board shorts in the back. I should have had my t-shirt on today. Apologize for not repping the brand, but big fan of what you're doing over there too.
Appreciate you.
Love that. Well, let's do this. We're going to do some polls, but before we do that, I think Joey Vallis has a couple of announcements, BZ-wise, that he want to get in. So we're going to let Joey get in here. Then we will get ready to do some claw polls. We're definitely going to do Micro. Mayhem, you know what? a good way to get my attention is if you are super thirsty. And Mayhem, he's our guy, number one. I actually, Mayhem is like one of my favorite people in the space who I have never met, but I always have good conversations with. We share a sense of humor. So Mayhem, we're getting you a poll for your kid because you want to get him in. We'll pick the next one as well. But if there's somebody in the abstract chat in particular who's interested, I know there's a couple people who want to get polls in there. I know that there's we have Thomas and Rare Ed and Ellsworth. Maybe we'll go with Ellsworth this morning potentially if you have an account. Let us confirm you have an account in the abstract chat. So between Mesh, Rare Ed, Thomas, all the crew, we'll get someone in. And if we don't get you in this week, we'll get you in next week or the week after. I promise, because we have a really, really good abstract chat. So those folks over there, the General Wags of the world, the Thomases, the Ellsworths, so let's do Thomas for our third. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do Micro, we're going to do Mayhem, and we're going to do Thomas. Ellsworth, jump in next week, and we can definitely get you in next week because I saw Thomas just jumped in first with the eye in the account. So we're going to do Thomas third, but Ellsworth, don't fret. We'll get a lot of these people in because we have a great abstract community. I love our abstract community, actually. But Joey, get in here with any announcements first while I make my list to make sure I don't forget who is getting a draw.
Thank you, guys. And we appreciate partnering with you guys on this. One thing that we've always focused on at Beezie is, building for the people. And we're really big on community feedback. And we ran a poll a couple weeks ago on what people want to see in the claw, as well as on the marketplace. And sealed packs won going away. So very soon we will have sealed individual packs in the claw machine in our base category. So in addition to winning base slabs, right, you'll be able to win base packs. Now, what's really unique about these packs is we're launching a segment with Dashon Wizard, who everybody I'm sure is familiar with, called Rip and Ship. So these packs are not actually in the vault. These packs are in Dachshund Wizards, Dachshund Wizards possession. So if you pull a pack, you can always swap. There's always going to be a swap offer on the pack. You can hold it, or you can choose to rip it. And every Thursday, we're going to have a live stream where if you choose to rip your pack, Dachshund Wizard will rip your pack live on stream. And then if you get any hits, we will then give you options of, hey, I want to, please ship me my hits, or please vault my hits, or whatever it is. So it's going to be a 4-week kind of beta called Rip and Ship. So starting hopefully in the next couple days, you'll see sealed packs on the marketplace and sealed packs in the claw, and you'll be able to have those packs ripped live on stream for you. So that's super cool, and just another fun aspect to get more people into the space. And then the second thing, which we're really excited about, which is also going to be running for 4 weeks, is our new XP quests. So weekly, you'll be able to earn XP, and that XP will enter you into raffles for slabs, booster boxes. There's flow rewards, keys and boxes, actual flow, so real money. So for the next 4 weeks as well, that announcement should be coming out today. You're going to be able to earn Beezie XP by participating in the claw, which will then give you opportunities to win even more cool stuff and giveaways. So again, we're all about building for the people and giving back. So all kinds of really cool stuff coming from Beezie for the next 4 weeks. And thank you, guys.
Exciting times. I love a good XP quest. Gives me a little bit of extra motivation. I just don't understand why more people don't do rewards programs in general, because I think like rewards programs as a whole, it's like, hey, this thing that I'm already doing, you get a little bit of an extra bump for it. So I love that you're introducing an XP program. I think that's smart. The full pack thing is really fun. I'm not just saying this. Like I actually, and people probably can tell if you look at my background, if you're watching a stream, I'm a bit of a collector. And so to me, the idea of pull a pack have Dachshund Wizard rip it live on stream. That's fun. Like, this stuff is actually fun. The XP option is fun for me. Getting packs is fun for me. So I love having, Docs rip them because he's obviously he's really fun to go live with as well. So good stuff, man. Exciting to see Beezie continue.
Whatever cards are not a hit, he'll eat for you on stream too. So he's quite the character, Dash. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, he's no joke. He's a lot of fun. But that said, let's get to the segment. So, Micro, we are getting ready to pull. So for people who are not familiar with this segment, Cap will tee us up some music here in a second. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be pulling a card from the claw machine. If you're not familiar with the claw machine, you can go to the claw machine and you can see your chances of pulling something sort of base is about 76%. So you have about a 1 in 3% chance of pulling a plus EV or above item on your $30 pull. If you go to your top items, you can see different things like sort of Air Jordan retro shoes, some PSA 10, a little EV Heroes Leafeon, which I think my kids would be very excited if I pulled, albeit not for me and those ultra rare items. You have some other rare items, some Pudgy Penguins vibe packs if you're a fan of that. If you're looking at the stream, you can see I am, because I have one still unopened right here sitting on my desk. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet packs. I have gotten 2 of those. I have redeemed one to rip with my kids. They are begging me to redeem the other one. I am holding it over their heads to make them do things like clean their rooms before I redeem it, as well as things like shoes and sort of one-piece individual packs, which I would also very much love to pull, and my folks in my household to be pretty happy with. My son is a big One Piece fan. So as mentioned, $30 pull, pulls from the claw. You can get one of those items, 1 in 3 chance, plus at EV or plus EV, 2 in 3 chance. It's better than any claw machine I've seen IRL in person. And then afterwards, you have the chance to swap or not, which is what we're doing here today with Micro. So you're going to have the opportunity when you pull it, it's going to pull out, say, a Pokemon card that has a value of on the market of $45. Beezie's going to offer you something like $35, $40 to buy that back from you. You can take that liquid cash right there if you don't want the card. Maybe you love the card and want to keep it. Totally up to you. But the 3 people we are going to be pulling for today, we are going to have Micro, Mayhem, and Thomas. So Thomas and Mayhem, stay active in the chat in case you want to swap, or if you want to get the card over to your kid, Mayhem, we will send it there afterwards. I'll have you DM me on X to do that, but we can deal logistics after the show. Let's get right into it. Are you ready to start, Micro?
Let's go, baby. Big money, no whammy.
Big money, no whammy. We pull. Balance on the screen is less than last week because I did some personal pulls over the weekend from my own cash balance to mess around in the claw, just to show I do smoke my own supply when it comes to Beezie. I'm not just a sponsor. I actually use the product. Here we go. Big pull. Micro, we're looking for our first plus EV pull. We want to get one on camera. Here we go, Micro. Big pull. All right, $9. Not the biggest pull. Do you want to swap or do you want the $9 card? We have a Japanese shiny treasure. And you can see, by the way, if you look at this, when you click on the card, you can see different, sort of the cards, what the card is. It gives you the information right there on screen, which is super helpful. You have 15 minutes to swap. Swap or not, Micro?
I have no idea what this is, so I guess let's swap it and give somebody else a chance down the road.
All right, we will swap it. It will not immediately go back in, but will eventually go back into the Beezie kitty there for other people. And I'm going to do something again on screen that I only am going to do. We're going to do this for occasional listeners. And because we are in week number 2, what I'm going to do is stick around, Micro, while we do the other 2 polls. Then we're going to go over and I'm going to sponsor $16. If you want, I will give you a $16 gift and you can pull from the tag machine. They have 2 machines just to show people that other machine. Or you can just take that $9 and not worry about it. You don't have to do that, but it's a pretty good deal on a free roll. You want to do that in a minute?
Yeah, let's check it out.
All right, we'll do that in a minute here. Okay. Next poll I'm going to do, this one is for you, Mayhem. So be ready in the chat, Mayhem, if you want to potentially swap or not live as we get this going. I like this chill, funky music vibes. All right. We're going to pull it. GLGL Mayhem. Getting it going. Again, the $30 pull. 1 in 3 chance to get something big. I'd love to see Mayhem get a big pull here. Mayhem is a homie, a friend. a member of the DGen Network War Room, one of the highest, most active members. So, Mayhem, here we go. And I will give you the option in the chat to swap or not right there if you would like. So, Mayhem, here we go. All right, $18.90. We have a Japanese V-Star Lunatone. Pretty solid card, actually. My kids would not let me trade this in. I can tell you that much. Tell me, Mayhem, do you want me to send it directly to your account that your kid set up, which is awesome that you onboarded your kid, or do you want to swap it and take the cash and tell your kid this never happened? Give it about, because we have about a 15-second delay in the chat, we'll give Mayhem about 20 seconds before we go and do Thomas's pull right after that. The kid wants to keep it. The kid wants to keep it. So, Mayhem, DM me your Beezie address, and we will get that as well. Thomas, you are up. So, Thomas, be ready with a swap or not. And we will end up getting the pull here as we go. Again, Thomas will let us know if we want to swap or not.
Big one. It's going to be a big one.
I think this is going to be a big pull. I have a feeling we are going to get a large pull for Thomas here. Here we go. Pull up. $12.60. So it is a Japanese ancient Gullah spot. I'm not actually familiar with this particular one, although it is a badass looking card. Thomas, let me know if you want to keep it. PSA 10, 2003. Thomas will give you about 15 minutes on or 15 to 20 seconds on a swap or not. Normally it's a 15-minute piece because we're doing the live show. The person in real time is what we want to get. So, Thomas, let us know if you want to swap or not. If you swap, I will send you Thomas is going to keep it. Awesome. Thomas, I'm not positive I on X if we interact. If we don't interact on X, tag me on X. Steve K. Bark, I will make sure I'm following you, which I should be anyway, but if I'm not, I will make sure I'm doing so, and we can DM and get the address, or you can let me know your BZ account in some other way, but we will get you that. All right, so here's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to personally sponsor $16 for Micro to get because he had a $9 swap, and he's going to do the tag claw machine. So as a reminder, Tag, a sort of awesome, sort of grading platform that Joey Valls told us about last week. Opportunity here. It's a $25 pull to also get the same sort of deal. Again, what's inside? You can see sort of the pull statistics as well here with some top items, including some of those $200+ chase items. So, Micro, we are going to pull you right here. We will do a swap or not. We have 2 out of 3 keepers today, so hopefully this one becomes a keeper or so big that you must swap it. Let's see. We are due statistically to get something big at some point here, so I'm feeling this one. I think this is going to be the one. By the way, I think this is a nice feature on a swap too, Cap, is that if somebody swaps, we can give them the opportunity, if it's below value, to pull right here on the tag. It's a nice addition for those who do join us live. Here we go. Big pull. All right, you plus EV, you made an extra $1 on it. So there is a swap or not option, a Japanese Jet Black Spirit Blissey. Again, pretty cool card. PSA 8.5 from 2021. Micro, totally your call, swap or not.
You know what? Let's keep this one. It matches my PFP. It's nice and pink, and it'll help me start building my vault on the Beezie site. So excited for it.
Love it. All right. Well, here's what we'll do next. Mayhem and Micro and Thomas, DM me your Beezie account link. They actually have a really cool transfer feature that lets you transfer these really easily, where you type in the link, it confirms whose account you're sending it to, which is really cool. So the transfer feature has actually stepped up quite a bit. We're going to get a really big pull one of these days. Micro, appreciate you joining us. I will get you that card. DM me your address, and appreciate you, my friend.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me on. Look forward to hanging out on the show.
Awesome.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Good. I love the fact that we have 3 keepers this morning, not swappers, which is really fun. Mayhem, Thomas, like I said, Thomas, tag me on X. If I am not following you, I will make sure. I should be rectifying that anyway. I will get 1 to Thomas. I will get 1 over to Micro, and then the 1 over to Mayhem. We will get you the proper cards for sure. Joey Valls, go ahead and get in here.
Yeah, real quick. One other thing we talked about too, which is really cool, is we've integrated with Relay, which now gives all of your meme coins utility. You could actually go right into your wallet page on our website and swap anime, Pengu, ETH, Sol, anything you could think of. You could actually swap it right into USDF, which is the currency we use, right in your wallet, and be able to purchase things on the marketplace or play the claw machine. So you don't have to worry about going to external websites and dealing with all kinds of bridges. You could do it all right in your wallet now on our platform, which is something we've really been working on, and we're continuing to try to upgrade and make it simpler for people. Normally, we do also have credit card and debit card payments, but with this new Relay integration, it's taking a little bit of time. So hopefully, credit card and debit cards will be back shortly, and we're working on some really awesome off ramps as well, which will make off ramping, if you're a seller, if you're off ramping your funds. So just a ton of really cool stuff we have coming, and we're really excited about this partnership. And yes, I really hope next week is the week where we can pull a big pull for somebody.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel it in my soul. It's going to happen. We're going to get something awesome here at some point. So appreciate you, Joey. Appreciate the Beezie team. I like this segment. It's one of my favorites, like that we've done probably on the show, because we get to do some good audience interaction. We get to get some people some things as we hit the 9 o'clock hour. But let's do this. Cap, I think we should probably, in a second here, get ready. We'll flip into the daily market update. We'll discuss some of the bigger hot topics we want to. One thing I'll ask on the X space, because I think X had a little bit of a rug situation. I noticed that our X listeners went from like 200 to like 100 in a straight line, which usually means that there was an X glitch. So if you haven't already, do us a favor on the X space. If you are listening, give us a like, a retweet, a comment on the room, bookmark it, because you don't check your bookmarks anyway. That'll help people find us, and we will get a little bit more there, because we are still going plenty strong in the abstract chat. I think one of the larger abstract streams this morning, as per usual, which we appreciate everybody showing up there in that community. And I promise we have, another, I think 6 weeks of this segment to go, 5 or 6 weeks of the segment to go, at least. So as we do that, probably more. Math is not my strong suit this morning, but we will get all of our good friends over there. If you have Beezie accounts over in the abstract chat, we will get you set up on a claw machine draw at some point. I have a list of people already, so make sure you come back next week on Tuesday. But Cap, I'm going to go ahead and play us in. Last day sponsored by Awaken officially. We'll run them through the end of the week, but time for the daily market update sponsored by Awaken Tax.
It's market update time. Let's set the play. Powered by Awaken, the smart tax way. From crypto flips to DeFi stacks. They keep it clean. Got your back. Grab your coffee. Let's break it down. Daily update right now.
It's time for the daily market update powered by Awaken, the best way to handle your crypto taxes. It's tax day, folks. I paid mine over the weekend. It sucked. With integrations across top exchanges and blockchains plus AI-powered transaction labeling, Awaken makes tax season easy. From NFT to DeFis to meme coins, Awaken has you covered. Get $50 off to make it suck a little less with code Clawfee at awaken.tax. That's $50 off when you use code Clawfee at AWAKEN.TAX. Sign up for it if you haven't. Again, there is the story that came out yesterday about somebody who is facing 6 years in prison for ducking their crypto taxes. Don't be that guy, pal. Use Awaken Tax, $50 off with code Clawfee to get that money back. Nobody likes paying their taxes, as I mentioned. It sucks to pay taxes, but hey, if you're doing it right, you're giving yourself the best possible situation. I saw Beezie say this yesterday, and I said it the other day on the show as well. There is no sillier thing than not paying your crypto taxes, because you absolutely will get caught down the line at some point, because you will be KYC'd at some point. The blockchain is forever. Do your best. Try to make your best effort and report your taxes accordingly. Cap.
Yeah, we've got starting over here. If you missed it yesterday, Mintify now has coins on their site. So looking at this is the Coinbase 50, or pretty much the majors here. Not exactly the top, whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, not exactly the top 10, but we'll go off this list nevertheless. not a great day across the board on both crypto and NFTs. Bitcoin basically flat at 85,690. ETH, not surprisingly, down 2% at 1638. XRP flat at $2.16. Solana down 1% to 132. Doge down 4.5% to 15 cents. Cardano down 2.5%. Avalanche down 2.68%, just under $20. Chainlink down 4%. Stellar down 1.3%, and Shiba down 3.4%. On the NFT front, Final Bossu, although it shows an 8% dip in the 24-hour price, it's actually up from mint. That math is, help me out here, Steve. It minted for what was the USD?
I don't remember what it minted for, to be honest, but it's definitely up.
It was a USD equivalent, 180, I want to say. But it's certainly up from 0.18 is 100 or 290, almost $300. So up for mint price. Congrats to Kevin, the team over there. Bored Apes down 1% to 14.49. Pudgies down 1%, 9.67. Mutants flat at 2.46. Little Pudgies down 5.71% to 1.24. Pepin giving up some of those gains from the recent Zoo-Pepin reveal, down 1% to 0.23. Miladies flat at 3.055. Azuki down 1.5% to 2.48. Good Vibes Club down 2%, but showing some strong volume on the day. And then the memes 6529 collection, also another big day on volume. They're holding at 0.585 ETH floor price, up 2% on the day. That's our daily market update, brought to you by Awaken Tax. Head to awaken.tax. Use code COFFEE for $50 off. Get your taxes filed, or at least get an extension filed and get ahead of your taxes this year using Awaken throughout the year, so you're not scrambling last minute come 2025, or excuse me, 2026 rather. Steve, back to you.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the market right now, and you had a couple things on there that were interesting to me. The Final Bossu is one that I find fascinating because I do think like one of the alphas on Abstract is, and Rare Ad telling us 200 USD equivalent for 0.13 ETH, roughly for Final Bossu. Public mint, meaning that you're up no matter what. Pre-sale, post-sale, high effort. The videos post-sale are great. Like everything about the way they've done things. I love, we love Kevin. He's awesome and is actually trying to do something pretty cool. The other thing about it is, Cap, I know that, like, I think Good Vibes Club made a good move going on ETH. That said, holding Abstract NFTs is looking like it's the biggest unlock you can get when it comes to passive XP on a weekly basis on Abstract. It sort of seems like the least kept secret in Abstract is holding NFTs, let alone, I mean, partially because we have Luca flat out telling us that on the show. But I mean, I've noticed since I have, I picked up a can of Sapien this week. But, I'm sitting there with a Bearish, a Ryu, an OC, an on-chain Hero, a couple Gigaroms, my Final Bossu. And I have noticed that my XP has been, like, there are weeks where I've had tons of activity and seen nothing happen. And then there are days that I've had no activity with the NFTs and I've seen a lot happen. So holding NFTs, the alpha, I do think there's probably some alpha to saying holding those NFTs makes a difference for people. And so I think minting with Final Bossu there, like, I think it's got a good chance to continue to hold the floor the way that you've seen on-chain Heroes and some of these other, and Bearish and some of these other ones. I have a Bearish. It's like, because people are getting that XP, they're farming it. Now that eventually comes to a stop, but it definitely gives you a little bit of a bridge to build. I don't know if I'm off on that thesis, but that's what I see when I look at the daily market update with some of this stuff.
Yeah, so similar but different than Blast Gold, right? And I think it's good. Just it's also proceed with caution, knowing that maybe not all, but some of these will likely pull back once TGE occurs. And I think it's just keeping that in mind. It's like, looking at it like from the team or the founder's perspective, it gives them like some extra runway to get out of the gates, right? Like they've got a little bit of time to get to their next milestones, their next activations, whatever it may be, before people move on to the new shiny toy. I think it's, and I certainly, some are doing some fun innovative stuff, and I certainly expect them to continue on post TGE. I think it's just the holding something to farm points has, yes, it does appear that it's the big XP boost on abstract. I just would caution people to not go overboard with it, right? Like, you don't go sweeping a ton of NFTs thinking that you're, oh, you had your best week ever on abstract XP. TGE still has to be a hit, right? And it's highly likely that not all the NFTs will hold their fuller price post TGE, but not to be Debbie Downer. I think just to be aware of that it can't be just the abstract points that's holding these collections up. Founders need to continue to ship, and I'm excited to start seeing more in NFTs. I kind of want to just jump right back into your earlier tease, talk on our PFP community's dead quote from earlier.
Yeah, and I put dying to maybe soften the blow a little bit. Oh, I just won 0.01 ETH on a gotcha card, by the way. I was like, I forgot I had one in the background, and so I went over and clicked on it and won a little 0.01 ETH. So nice little win there on the day. I don't even know what 0.01 ETH nets out to. What's ETH at 16? So probably like 0.01 ETH is a solid $16. So $16 on a $5 card, not too shabby. A little 3x to start the day, Cap. But the PFP, maybe hey, some of us play daily fantasy. Some of us get $16, not to brag. It's like my brother in a game in Grand Theft Auto Online. You have millions upon millions of dollars you use to buy these crazy equipments, and we'll go through a mission and we'll pick up the $16 from someone on the floor, just being like, hey, there's $12 down here. And I'm like, we got to go, bro. And he's like, dude, $9.50. But, yeah, one, I do want to just double tap on your point. Don't invest more than you can lose. Understand how these things can fall pretty quickly if you're trying to hold assets specifically for a TGE. For me, I feel pretty good about it, and I actually have a plan. Some of them, the ones that I am excited to hold, I will continue to hold. Some of them I'm keeping an eye on. I'm going to sell on a rip-up. I don't purport to think that my XP on abstract is going to be this, infinite money glitch for me. I am not one of the top earners, so it's going to be just a normal TGE for me. So I've been kind of cautious about how I've approached that. So be smart about that. Number two, speaking of abstract again. Oh, I just got a follow from the official abstract account, by the way, on my abstract. So that's nice. But follow me over on abstract if you do not mind. Would appreciate that. Mesh, they have not announced TGE. We don't know when that's going to happen. Abstract, careful not to try XPs to anything, right? Rare Ed is correct there. But yeah, I want to talk PFPs. So I had this thought as I'm looking at the timeline. Now, I don't think all PFP communities are dead. But I feel like PFP communities are kind of dying the way that we've seen the ecosystem split apart. So I've seen, I've seen people becoming abstract, sort of like you have the Pudgy Penguins community and the abstract community, two very separate communities. And I think they've done a great job not conflating those two things. But I don't really see I see huddles, but I don't see hey, Pudgy Penguins jam. I don't see random insert NFT community space anymore outside of, Bored Ape does it, but the Bored Ape space is okay, we're talking Ape Coin, we're talking Ape Chain, we're talking everything, we're talking all these different PFPs. And I feel like the straight PFP communities, as we know them, when we used to say, oh, I know who's in a Gutter Cat gang member, those are going to be a little bit of an edge. I know who's a Cool Cat person, they're going to be whimsical. And this, I know who's in a Doodle because they color the world with joy, which now they've kind of changed the branding on that, so it's a little bit different. I know who's in a Bored Ape community and that's community of builders, community of entrepreneurs. I feel like we don't see that as much anymore. People are split across ecosystems. People are looking for airdrop communities. They're looking to be part of abstract. They're looking to be part of Blast. They're not necessarily identifying with it. I don't see the group chats as active anymore, personally, quite as much. So I just feel like all the things we saw to be true about these people who get excited to say, yeah, I'm excited to be part of this thing, and look who's getting excited about it. I just don't see that as much anymore. And it's not to say they're all dying or they're all going to be dead. I still think Ape Fest is a very real thing, but I think I see some pockets, but I don't see the personalities and the defined sort of I feel like there used to be defined personalities around a lot of these collections anymore. And, you know, if I'm just looking at the top collection, like, sure, like punks are still like their brand is still being, you know, pretentious assholes, which I love them for it. It is what it is. You know, Bored Ape Yacht Club, I still see as a community of builders, but I think it's quieted down a little bit there. Pudgy Penguin, I don't see as much happening anymore. Like Mutant Apes and Bored Apes are now sort of the same thing, whereas like they had their own distinct personalities before. Doodles, I'm not sure how I define that community as much anymore. Azuki, I'm not involved in. Maybe there's a community there, but I don't see that. I see a couple Ordinals communities, but like, you know, I don't know. VeeFriends, I get. That one still makes sense to me because I still get VeeFriends and I'm still, but I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of rambling. Give me your thoughts.
So I don't know. I'm kind of tracking. Like I agree, but disagree. I think not dead in the sense that they're going away. I pulled up Dunk Cookie. I don't know if he's still out there, if he's able to jump up on stage to expand. He says, wait. He says, what? No chance PFP communities are dead. Living, breathing proof. Got scammed last week. My community had my back and now back into wrecked and MAYC. Communities might be tighter, deeper in literally the definition of, yeah, you're going to have to pronounce that one for me. Deepnification?
I think he's saying deep nicheification, but I don't know what that means. I didn't know deep nicheification is a word. I think that might be a Dunk Cookie original. It's new to me. I know what niche is. I know what deep is. I know what ification. So I just put them together and took the, you know, origin of the word and guessed like deep nicheification means the definition of you're deep into a niche and you get super into it. Like we talked about, like being super deep into Doodles because they're going to do DreamNet, or super deep into Bored Ape Yacht Club and act on everything. Yeah, I mean, Odeka's kind of get my point. I think he says Azuki community is still active and building, thriving, in building actively. I haven't seen it because I'm not as deep in the Azuki community, but then he says we have more projects, but we have the same amount of people trying to be everywhere.
This is it. This is where I was going to connect both your thought and Dunk Cookies and now Odeka's is I don't think the communities are dying. It's what I think you're experiencing more so than death is dilution. And which is weird because at the same time we are seeing, I still believe we're seeing consolidation. And this is what I was throughout the entire bear. I was beating the drum like we're going to see massive consolidation in the PFP space and there'll be maybe half a dozen winners. And to some degree, I think we're seeing that, right? You have the legacy quote unquote winners from 2021 or earlier. So your punks, your apes, your pudgies, your VeeFriends, your doodles, etc. Like they've, you know, we still see that, you know, those as aspirational goals, individuals wanting to join that community. We talked about collectors collecting, and most of the sales off those aforementioned collections, they're not floors. They're not people buying to flip. Rather, they're collecting an asset they want to hold and they want to join that community. I think where it's different and on towards like, are they dying is, you think back then and it was like every week someone new and exciting that's how they were onboarding this into the space, is they were joining a PFP community. And I think right now, instead of new people joining a community or entering the space, it's the same group of people collecting additional NFTs. In some cases, they're moving from one to another. And that just hits a little different than, oh, Steph Curry just came into crypto and bought a Bored Ape. It's oh, Steve, who's, you know, been in the ape community and he's got his face as a PFP, bought a Good Vibes Club last week and he bought a Final Bossu this week. And I'm not speaking for you, but for me, I've not jumped in. Like I don't even know if I guess I have. I've been in the Good Vibes Club Discord, but I've not done anything in there. I've not been an active community member. I love the team. I like what they're doing. It's just, I can only do so much. And I kind of have my home bases. I'm kind of set in my ways to this point to some degree. And I just think that they're not dying. There's becoming more and more of them, but there's no new entrants. Retail isn't, there's no new people. So we're just taking, it's a dilution, even though we've seen consolidation and maybe there's less, there certainly is less projects minting today than there was in the mania. But I just think the number of active participants is what it is. And it's, yeah, I think that's to kind of sum it up. I think it's not dying. It's just, it's this dilution of new quality projects. And that after that consolidation's occurred. So now it's like, someone like Odeka that's deep in the Izuki community, how deep of a community member is he going to be in Final Bossu? I don't even know if he admitted that. I'm just making hypothetical examples here. But is this landing at all, Steve? Is it dilution more than?
Yeah, I think it's like I think it's dilution. It's like the thing is like I'm trying to like separate two thoughts here, which is when I say dilution versus dying, it's like dying in the sense of like what we knew to be true about like is ape follow ape still a thing? And oh my god, like hey, ape help another ape, which I think is still a thing in that community for the most part. But like
it is. So that's back like the consolidation. That consolidation has occurred, right? And at the same time, I think apes are a great example because that consolidation's occurred. A lot of people who've been in the space, they wanted to join the club. They joined the club. Most people were seeing buy those or buying it to get in the club and not just as a financial flip. At the same time, we've got Ape Chain, and every day there's multiple spaces and numerous communities. I think you get I'm trying to think how I can say this, not sound like an asshole. Like, is there a little bit of the luster or the exclusivity of any one of these communities? That's what's dying.
Yes, and that's kind of my point. Is
if you're in one, you essentially have access to all of them to some degree.
The individual like sense of identity. So like when Deca says define PFPs are dying. People are still buying PFPs, kind of seeing the proof in Steve's book, all the reasons mentioned. But like, I guess my point is like what I had in the book was like, you had this sense of identity. Like you bought this ape, you love this ape, you make this ape your PFP, you build IP around this ape, you build a brand around this ape, you build, products around this ape, or the gutter cat, or the, back in the day was like a really popular one that a lot of people were big on, or, a Taproot Wizard today, or a Pudgy Penguin that you might have bought, or, whatever that is, the doodle. And I feel like people still want to buy grails. But I don't think that, and don't get me saying, I think people have chosen their swimming lane in a pool we all share. I think the problem is that, first of all, I think there's a lot of things. I have so many thoughts on this. Number one, I think the complexity of participation matters. I had this conversation recently with someone related to actually Pirate Nation, which I love. I still play. It's a good game. But the more complexity they introduced, the less people I saw playing being like, look, I can't even get my head wrapped around all the things I have to do in order to just get a ship or something. And I think the complexity, like, we'll have Doodles on the show at some point soon, but like, Doodles is a good example where I love the Doodles team. I love the crew. They're building something really complicated that, we've talked about. I'm probably not going to have time to participate in.
Yeah, I'm out. Like, I basically, based on what I know now, and I want to hear the team, I want to hear what they're doing, but what my understanding is you're either in or you're out. Like, you either got to be very involved and active, or it may not be the right fit, and that's okay. I'm probably out. Like, I'm not looking to be more active in another community, and it just is what it is. Like, I only have so much time and so much attention. I think that you do like. And I think that could be a very strong strategic play as well, because those people who do dive deep, like I think like VeeFriends has done this very well. It's not for me. I'm not into collecting VeeFriend cards. It's just not like, I'm not into it. So I parted ways with my original VeeFriend, and the next time they do a VCon, I'll probably go to VCon. But it's just, it's something like I love and respect that community. They're great people to hang out with. But like the niche, really deep into the community, like that's the glue that's kept people engaged and active. It's just not my thing. And so it's like, I think that like in that case, I'm quote unquote out, just like I'm probably out on Doodles. Doesn't mean I'm not going to, wouldn't hang out with those people, wouldn't attend an event. It's just the thought of holding a 4 or 5 figure asset because I think here's why I'm talking through this in real time. So I apologize if it's not landing.
No, I mean, I am too. And this is why it's like, I had the thought right before the show. So we're
previously the thought was there's going to be millions of other people that want this same access, and that over the course of time, demand would be greater than supply. I think that's what's fallen off is while a particular collection might be capped, I think that the space just got so overcooked. Like the valuations ran up to numbers that just didn't make sense. And it became hard to justify that sort of cost of admission. And we're like using Azuki and Final Bossu as an example. There's going to be alternative options that are going to be not the same, but they're going to be similar for people that really want to get involved and deep into anime and help build an anime IP. Well, you can do that for several $1,000s, or you can do it for $300. So while we have seen consolidation, at the same time, we're seeing this dilution. I feel like quality projects are actually growing faster. We're seeing more of them than we're seeing new entrants into the space.
I actually have a hotter take that just came to me. I want to workshop with you. So I'm going to say it live. I'm not saying I believe this, but I'm curious your thoughts on it. And we got Katie in chat by saying, my PFP has always been about my own brand. It has nothing to do with what communities I am in. Oh, excuse me, yawn there was I was not yawning at Katie, yawning because I don't get proper sleep, which is a problem. You should always get more sleep. So I think one issue there, like she says that. I saw Hizzy out there in the chat. I had Hizzy pulled up somewhere with the comments.
Sorry, my ADD has taken over. Speaking of proper sleep, have you seen the new Black Mirror yet?
I've not.
Okay, we're gonna punt this to tomorrow, but we're gonna have to talk a little bit about Black Mirror and talking about like farming for like we are headed towards a really dystopian future. Anyways, back to you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I said yawn now, making myself yawn again, which is great as we go.
Steve is at the never mind. If you've seen Black Mirror, you can probably connect the dots of what I'm attempting to lay down here with Steven is yawning and lack of sleep. Hizzy saying with a few big members when a few big members whales leave or some big cheerleaders, it takes a huge person or several more mid-level entrants to make up the gap. I'm actually going to throw something else out there, Cap. I think I'm gonna put. We're giving this honest on. We thought the masses were coming in and all this thing. What about this? Because I see what these. What about this? What about the idea that brands stopped leaning into their community and top community members and leaned more into their VCs, and they lost their community, and thus community isn't as exciting anymore? Because I think there's some truth to that. I think when you look at some of these, I've had conversations with people in multiple. It means a lot less to rep some of those communities. I think. We said it many times. Like people will not forget how you make them feel, good, bad, and different. And I think like part of that was the market. Maybe some was decisions by particular brands. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry for the interjection, but I think you might be onto something there.
Yeah, I mean, I think about it used to be a situation, and this isn't just me. I've seen other people where you put out a tweet. You put out a tweet of about any big PFP brand. The brand itself retweets it. The team members retweet it and reply, and everybody in the community would be like, "Let's roll." That doesn't happen anymore. Like I'll tweet about like some of the bigger, larger, and I'm not asking for this. This is my like personal, like I don't need the validation of like a brand. Like that's not what I'm saying. It's not this like insecurity. Oh, like you didn't pay attention to me entitlement thing. It's you could have 100 followers or 1,000 followers. And you put out something positive, they're going to retweet you. Everyone in the community is going to get pumped about it. They're all going to retweet you. It would be your best tweet ever. And I don't think that happens anymore because maybe people don't have pride around the PFPs anymore, but partially because I think the brands didn't. We talk about what made Bored Ape Yacht Club pop. And I think there's all these factors. Yes, we were at home for COVID. Yes, there was like other stimulus checks, all those things. But part of what made Bored Ape Yacht Club pop was that there was this community that people wanted to be part of. And it was special. And it felt like something you wanted to be part of. And the founders fanned the flames of the community. They followed the community members. They platformed them. They helped them get more reach. They, and I think they do a pretty good job of this at Bored Ape Yacht Club's handle, to be fair. They do a lot of that retweeting, so I'm not, like, talking specifically. But, Mark's getting down here, and I think we're getting down to it. Agreed, Steve. Creators want support from a community. not even from the team or brand, but other community members, that's missing. And I do think that. Like, I do think that the death of the community is the death of the team, the founders, and everybody else, contributing in the way that I don't know. Like, I think the lean into VC and product, and we're building a serious business, and we're no longer like, I think that stuff is leading to the downfall.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly aided to this different landscape. So that said, do you feel there's an opportunity for one or more of them to recapture that because so many have moved away from that community? Like, or does it just keep turning forward the way it's going?
Is there an opportunity? Yes. Are they going to do it? My inclination is probably not. Because I think that nobody. It's just so we had this conversation about community yesterday, right? Or I mean about communications yesterday. None of them are prioritizing investing in communications. And I think similarly, none of these brands want to focus. Like, why is Abstract doing so well on the timeline? Because of community, and because they're focusing on community, and because Luca and Finn and the Abstract channel and the other people within the community are encouraging each other, and they're building up their builders, and they're showing clips on the timeline, and they're pushing community to be a big aspect of what they're building. Like, they care about the Abstract community. I think that that's what's missing in general. Is I just don't think like, and there are certain communities that like everybody's always going to have a tie to. Like, I'm always going to have a tie to apes because it's a thing that I came from and it's important to me. Yeah, community feels seen, right? Like, you want the community to feel seen. 100%. We and Azuki have a ton of product builders, and 99% of them get full support. But it'd be nice to have that from the team as well. Yeah, I mean, Odeka's feeling it, Mark's feeling it. Like, I just think that like hiring. We talked about a membership director as being something that would help with communications. It would also help with community. I feel like, and Machiavelli feeling like Ape Chain's doing a better job with Abstract. They are like diving in on the chain community. And I guess I'm talking specifically about PFPs more so than anything, though, to make the point.
Is that part of it? Is that part of what's lost the PFP community luster? Is so many of them have either launched an L2 or are in the process of launching an L2.
Yeah, the chain.
Has the community moved from PFP to chain?
Yeah, Diablito in the chat saying, currently I'm winning the PFP battle. All the communities and projects lost. So, Diablito with a picture of himself. And, again, similar to me, but like I did it for some personal purposes as well. But, man, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, like when I see that, like I think Ape Chain did it better in Abstract, like you said, like maybe it's because they're leaning in on chains. But yeah, man, I don't know. I feel like a lot of these PFP brands, it's easy for me to say sitting here, right? But I feel like a lot of PFP brands lost the plot. Like, I feel like to them, they sold this great community. Every single one of them said, we are going to be the great community. We're doing to be the great community. You want to join this community. Here's why you join this community. Here's a person in this. Here, what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to build together. Here's how we're going to support. And then when push came to shove, a lot of them got VC funding, or they didn't get VC funding and they concentrated on sort of revenue. And it's like, start with the why, man. Like, what's your why? And like, I just think like so many of them grew because of community. And then once you grew a community, like when you talk about it being extractive for these different groups, it's like, it's extractive because they chose to then sell into the community rather than continue to reinforce the values of that community. Like, why do we feel good about Ape Fest every year? Because they put in an event for the community, and we go and we meet with the rest of the community members, and we're reminded what's awesome about Bored Ape Yacht Club. But the other 360 days of the year, how do you foster and water that?
Well, and not every PFP community can pull off an Ape Fest either. Not everyone does an annual big in real life event, even close to that level. And for those that don't, it's hard. Like, building an online digital community sounds easy. Oh, we're all connected. We live in this digital world. We're on our phones an average of 7 hours a day. At least here in the States just came out. It's mind blowing. And all that to be said, we've talked about it. here with Ape Fest. If someone misses an Ape Fest, happened to you, like it's just like you start feeling a little disconnected. A year is a long time. 2 years is even longer. It is really challenging to keep. I mean, it's hard to create momentum. It's much harder to advance momentum in a digital community if there's no in real life touch points. It just is. And I think that stuff is, we see it happen. And it is, I think, an underrated. I know there are some people that talk about Ape Fest and how much they love it. I still think it's an underrated aspect to the club. And it's not any one Ape Fest in particular, but they've created an annual event, an annual pilgrimage, where a lot of people are, they highly anticipate that event. And then when they go, they're remembered of how great that community is. And then it's not dying and it's dead. I think part of the challenge now is, people talked about sub communities and the group chats and new communities coming online, even though we've seen this consolidation into let's just call them blue chips for the sake of the story. We're continuing to see more quality projects come. And I think it's a tough task. I think it's increasingly important that these teams don't lose sight of that community or take it for granted that in many cases that, like, I think many of them have captured a rabid, loyal fan base that many brands decades older than them would love to have such a loyal fan base of brand ambassadors. They're not going to be like that forever if they feel like they're not important to the thing. Like people talk about building in public and building with your community. It's tough, but I think that, like, I'm trying to think how this plays out. Like, I don't think people are going to stop minting PFP projects, right?
No, but there's two separate thoughts here, because I want to hit on something you said, which is like, well, two things. One, what you just said is like, every PFP community I'd been part of in the first couple of years, I felt like I was part of something. I felt like I was building something. I felt like when they got a raise, I got a raise. I felt like when they were doing things, I was doing something. I felt like when they were successful, I was successful. I don't think that's the case anymore for a lot of them. I also think I want to sort of bifurcate two different thought processes here, which is, one, if people are simply collecting apes because they're historical NFTs and they're grails, that is great for apes, but that is not great for the community. And that's, I guess, my thought is like, people used to buy, and I think apes still fall into this category, so they're probably like not the best example, like, because I think apes still do have a strong community. They still can really rally together. They have Ape Fest. To your point, the IRL event, I go to an IRL event and I hug the fundies, Lady Fundy and Fundy Ape, and I'm like, hey, my friends, I haven't seen you in so long. And it's like seeing an old friend. There's no awkwardness. There's no weirdness. You're just seeing someone that you've known for almost 5 years. And I think there's power to that. But I think people buying a PFP because they want to be part of a community and then vaulting it is very different than buying a PFP because you think the price is going to go up, or you think that it's a grail that you want to own. And like, there's one thing to be said about people who like work their way up to a grail within a community, right? Like, I've done that before where I've like, traded around till I got to a grail that I really want. I don't know. I feel like when you talk to founders, they're going to use, rightfully so, the market, the entitled members, the financial aspects of it, all those things. And I don't think founders are wrong there, but I think they maybe welch the personal responsibility a little bit at times when it's like, you also own responsibility in letting your PFP community slip by not leaning into your community as a whole, by not highlighting those people. And yes, maybe if you highlight 25 people, 3 of them are going to end up being grifters or crappy people or people you don't like. But the other 23 are going to feel heard and part of something. And I think at these low numbers, I go back to the membership director thing. Like, it's just the fact that there's nobody there to be a voice and there's nobody there to take community seriously. It's like, that's the part that I guess I get thrown off by, is like, Why are you not collecting community feedback? Why are you not doing things specifically? And I don't know what those things look like. It's not my, I mean, I did it in the Starbucks community, and we saw a lot of really good success within the Starbucks community as a whole because we did engage them regularly. It's like, that was like my job, my full-time job there. So it was like, yeah, once a month we're going to do trivia. Once a month we're going to bring in somebody like the inventor of the pumpkin spice latte, and they're going to get access to that. We're going to have constant ongoing contests. We're going to incentivize them to reward. We're going to do giveaways on a monthly basis where people are going to win Starbucks stars every single month. And it's like you found ways to make the community active and engaged. And it was like the most active and engaged Discord I was generally part of, because most people go into Discord and then they have a million Discords and they only have maybe one home base, if that. And then they have like a handful of people who hang out. I just think that like founders are right to complain that like there were spoiled and entitled holders. Founders are right to complain that the market conditions change things. Founders are right to complain that people got a little bit too overly financialized and incentivized by things. But I also think that they wield that responsibility of you need to lean into you have a very small community base. Like if you have let's say that there's an average of 500 to 1,000 active people online from any given community. Like it's not that hard to engage with those people and then want them to invite a friend and want them to invite a friend. Is it scalable? I don't know, but I feel like we've lost this community aspect. And like when I was looking at these grail sales, I'm like, people are buying these because they're grails and they think that they're going to be worth something or they're forever something, not because they want to be part of the community. And that, I don't know. That I guess that's my rant. I don't know. That's.
Yeah. So Machiavelli said it earlier. I would say like, I think of Rita, and what they're doing with G's over there. Like that was one of the notes I had that probably hit on the, the catch-all at the end. But like he just did the upgrades with you could burn nuts and like I see that community. You see all the orange, the G's backgrounds and the PFPs. Like I think, and it's not just a single out one, but it's Rita who grew up within the Bored Ape Yacht Club, at least in terms of his crypto journey, has taken and is continuing to execute on a lot of the things that I think Bored Ape Yacht Club did really well. And constantly shipping, being very active, being accessible. I think that when I look at, some of those ape chain communities, I still certainly see that. I think part of the challenge though for those that are further in their roadmap, further in their cycle, how can they still keep that early, almost like it felt like you were part of a startup, right? And I think like you probably like those that are really active in the G's community may feel that today. How can someone, after they've raised their 10, 50, $100 million and they've got hundreds of employees, how can they not lose their community? How can they continue to bring them along and make them all still feel engaged? And I think part of it might simply be, the more I talk through this, is options. The space is increasingly competitive, and it's back to this largely the same pool of participants. Is it time for some of these brands to focus on onboarding? I still say it's too early. I guess still say like I don't know if that's the best path. Rather I think double down on your base, secure the base, as you would say. But at some point there's got to be efforts to bring new users into this space. No?
I'm going to laugh when the long-term winner is so obviously VeeFriends, by the way. Like, I mean, it's just like I see like, Katie in the chat saying, and I agree with this because I sign up for Gary text alerts. I have those, I have Gary text alerts. I follow him on various channels. I've seen him being active, especially since it's been, I know for a fact that Gary he said so at VCon. So actually I could say this like out loud. He was uneasy about the regulatory environment as it existed before. He's a little bit more excited now, I think. He said at VCon on uncertain regulatory environment and all that good stuff. But Katie in the chat, Gary V continues to strengthen and engage his community. Over the past 2 weeks, he has given away hundreds of VF2s and encourages them to change their PFP. It's all about attention, especially at the Topps Corona activation in May. Gary's released some YouTube Kids content now. Haven't seen, but that's a clear move. Animation for kids. Like, you talk about Mr. Early and everything. You're asking, should people be onboarding people into their communities? We talk about like the shitty marketing in Web3. This is exactly what, like, how many times do we have to say it? But I know it's like not meant to be just a glaze fest. So what has Gary done? Trading cards, gone to card shows, onboarded people through that. Okay, these things lend themselves to kids' cartoons. Boom. Kids' cartoons, the people who created Cocomelon, putting them out on a weekly basis.
Hold up. It's also the target demographic. I think that's like, that can't get lost here, right? Like, when he's going to card shows, it's not like he's just going to a conference and attempting to onboard people that walk by. He's actually going to the exact people, the exact demographic that is probably into, oh, wait for it, collecting cards, playing, tabletop games.
Yeah, no, it's funny. It's like, what do you know? Like, how about that? Like, people at the very least, whether they want to get him to VeeFriends or not, people collecting cards have the same mental illness we all have, where we collect these weird JPEGs, right? They have the same function in their brain that says they like to collect stuff. But it's like card conventions, National Card Show, comics, cartoons, like thoughtful about the brand. And he's not building it to say, go buy a VeeFriend 1 or go buy a VeeFriend 2. He's giving away VeeFriends 2 to people. He's getting more people into that community. But I wonder, to a degree, does Gary see the same thing I'm seeing and the same thing we're talking about this morning, and saying, now is our opportunity to bring people into this community, which is active, which does care. Are you highlighting Teacher Katie's comments by sharing the it's like a double share?
We got a little bit of inception here. First time doing this, but yeah, just wanted to highlight that. I think you already shouted it out, but yeah, I again, not my thing. I'm not into collecting those sorts of cards, but I think they're crushing it, like literally knocking it out of the park. And yeah, except the inception has reached another level, so I'll stop sharing now. But you're right. Like I think, like, as far as, and I was going back and forth with Mel a little bit yesterday in the chat, because there was some things that were said that didn't come to fruition, in terms of like, oh, this is the only way to get access to my conference, and then lo and behold, you could buy tickets another way. I get all that. Like, there were mistakes were made, and I think Gary would probably own some of those mistakes. However, in terms of simply the 3 years of conference and using the NFT as a ticket and incorporating the tech, he did that and check the box, did it very, very well. And then to continue to build out that vision of what they're building and have it's just very normal, right? Like, it doesn't, it probably is the best funnel from top to bottom. I know Luca talks a lot about, the top of funnel and the toys and where they see, onboarding, the Pudgy proliferation thesis. It's not a knock at Pudgy, and it's not a knock at anyone else in the space. It's just like, from a strategy standpoint, I think VeeFriends has, they're ahead of everyone right now, because they can keep doing what they're doing for perpetuity. I feel like that is just a very scalable process, a very scalable thing. If they just continue to do what they've been doing, they've got revenue, they've got a real business, they've got a community it's not a Ponzi, they're not doing something just to farm magical internet points. They actually enjoy the thing. He's found product market fit, and I do see him doing it for the next couple decades. I don't know as if any, like, could Pudgies continue to sell toys every fourth quarter, sell through a lot of toys at Walmart? Maybe. It's just not as clear to me as the sustainable path forward that VeeFriends has, if Gary just keeps doing what he's doing. It doesn't mean that the VeeFriend 01 is going to, shoot up to a tinny floor price again, or even hold its current floor price. I just think from a sustainability, is the VeeFriends community going to be around and thriving in 20 years from now? And I think probably so.
And I guess that's kind of my point, is like Pudgy is a better example of it, though, too, to some degree, where like Pudgy is at least being top of mind with people, not saying go buy a Pudgy, but hey, we want you to know who we are and what we do. And I think Gary's doing very much the same thing, where it's like he wants he is building, like he said it a million times, and I know people get upset about this, like he's building a real brand that when you like look, he wants people to say like, those are VeeFriends, not those are NFTs. And if you own the NFTs, access to VCon, right? And then those tickets will ultimately be sold from that, right? And like the, VF2s, there's going to be opportunities to buy and do things like, I mean, look, if these tops things, these top, there's so much demand for the tops cards that not only do they sell out, but people are getting turned down from the lottery system. I bought with a VF1 because I had a VF1. I was able to buy one set completely risk-free, got those, supported it. I'm planning to rip them, but I might be able to resell that thing for like $500 or something. Like there's a really good chance there's demand. And it's like, that's still utility. And that's a game Gary respects, right? Because it's a flip game. So you don't even feel bad. Like that's the other thing about it is like, he's done it right in the sense that there's a lot of sell shamers out there. Gary is the first person to tell you, if you bought a VF1 and you flipped it and made a bunch of money, good. Like he lives that life. So yeah, I think that is, it's just, I think that the PFP brands, I guess to put a wrapper on it, it's sort of this combination of marketing and community together and building a company, right? A lot of them don't do marketing very well, like from how they do things. Virtually none of them do communications very well. And a lot of them aren't really trying to build a real brand very well. And I think like the VeeFriends example keeps coming top of mind where it's like funny. Like I said, for the past 4 years since we've been doing this show, that when we bring up the major PFP brands, we're kind of disrespectful that VeeFriends doesn't get placed in it, but it's just not top of mind with a lot of CT. I'll still say to this day.
You know why? Because they're not, they going back to what you said, they've done a really good job of branding it to where we don't view VeeFriends as a PFP brand. We view VeeFriends as VeeFriends. Like he's built a business, he's built a brand. It just so happens that there's NFTs incorporated in it, but we don't, I don't anyways view VeeFriends as a PFP brand. It's how it got its start, but it's like, I think he's crossed that chasm, to where he's broken out. Even if it's not like, oh, the masses aren't coming in and onboarding to VeeFriends. He's broken out of that PFP business.
Right. He's making it so that you can like actually see VeeFriends and be like, oh, okay, like I can make that association. Kind of branding is just association, to Mark's point, like kind of like making that correlation between what your brand is. Because I feel like that's the other thing is like I talk about it, like if you're everything to everyone, you're nothing to no one. And I think these brands, like I had this conversation with Scott before we ever wrote a book, before we ever wrote a Harvard Business Review article about how it's fascinating that people like in this space always try to say like we are a general purpose PFP. We're for everybody. And like Gary's made the point, like you're supposed to be kind. This is about these good traits. Like this is what we are, right? He's got those characters. Him and Andy have done a tremendous job with that. At the first VCon, when people were pushing each other in the merch line, he made the point of saying, this is not what this brand's about, right? He hammers home the point he's making about who VeeFriends are. He makes comics. He makes videos. He makes card games based on what VeeFriends are about. If you follow them on Instagram, their content is very clear on what VeeFriends are about. And in fact, I love their content because it's almost like it's like motivational content that my kid could get, but I also hit with me if you follow VeeFriends on Instagram. So yeah, I don't know. And by the way, like good shout out again in the chat. Don't forget Abstract added followers. So follow my account and Cap's account. Cap will be up tomorrow. So you can make sure you're following him right off there, but click on my name and follow me on Abstract. If you aren't already, I would appreciate that. We're trying to make sure that we continue to build those numbers up and get people who are following us through. So thanks to all those 26 people who have already started to follow me on there as well. I'll make sure I'm getting some follow backs later on. Not sure what it does, but excited for that. But yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I think like we keep glazing like Gary and Andy and Jeremy and, Corso and that whole team and the work they're doing, but it feels like they're building a brand and a business with a multi-year timeline and not building a PFP project. And the community's still there. Like, I would argue that the community of VeeFriends is still one. And I know you're not as into it as I am, but like, I am proud to have a VeeFriend. I am proud to be part of the community, regardless of utility, regardless of anything else. It makes me happy. I love talking to the community. I love going to events. I never have a bad time with that crew. I love the message behind it. It resonates with me. so I guess they've done like a pretty good job in general with all of those things. So I don't know. And that's like, I know we talked about that. Ironically, I did sell a VF2 yesterday because I had like an amped II I had minted that I'm getting some liquidity. Trust me, I paid more for 2 VF2s that resonate with me and who I am, that I felt more identity based. I'm not an amped II. Like I bought like a really good consistent Cougar, for example, and a couple other ones. But I don't know, man. Like I guess to me, like that comes to the one, but just bring it back full circle to the discussion. I just feel like PFP communities are kind of like, again, dead's not the word. It's just, I think that the combination of like the way that the holders were and the way the brands approached it wasn't long-term sustainable. And now I just feel like community was a buzzword, but at least they tried. I don't know.
I don't understand exactly the point. I'm taking a shot at me somehow, but I'm not tracking. But Von Front does bring up a good point. Like, also had a pre-existing community. So Gary does have a distinct edge over most, if not all, the other crypto native Web3 NFT founders, if you will, in the sense that he had a very large community that he brought into this space, and many of those individuals have continued on.
He's making fun of you because you pronounced chasm wrong. Just so you know, it's chasm. But you said chasm. You said chasm.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever said chasm in my life except for this morning. So
you said cross the, but hey, you know what though? A for effort, cross the chasm. You're getting there. There you go. We're getting it. But no, Von Frant's right. He did have an existing community, but like, and you know what? Maybe that's why he's so good at it, because not only did he have that experience, but he probably took that community pretty seriously. Like, he doesn't want to ruin that existing community. So there's probably something to be said about that. And I do like Von Frunten saying, yeah, that last part, an actual product. He built a product. It just happens to have an NFT. It's a great way to put it. He happens to have a product. It just happens to, or he has a product, just happens to be an NFT. I said that before in this show. It's one of the few brands that, like, when people are like, oh, or VeeFriends, they're not even an NFT project anymore. It's like, no, they're actually just a brand, and they have NFTs that happen to give access to things. So, yeah, I think that, I don't know, it kind of goes back to VeeFriends. We got Jonah coming up here. Jonah's going to have a hot take on this. I'm feeling it. I love when Jonah comes up when he has something to say. So I'm excited about this. When Jonah, GM, I didn't know if you came up for this conversation or any other reason, but feel free to get in here with anything.
I was listening for most of the podcast that just came up there last minute, but I don't think PFP communities are dying. And I think that the problem with most PFP communities has nothing to do with like being VC raised or any of that. It has to do with trend chasing. So a lot of PFP communities don't have a culture that represents what it is they do. For example, one that isn't actually a tradable PFP but they perform very well in terms of economics, in terms of network value, etc., has been the Wolves DAO. I don't know if you know what that is. I'm going to assume you don't. But Wolves DAO is like the Web3 gaming community in terms of like networking, news, things of this nature. And you know what? Like, you're not going to make any money trading that PFP in the same way you might not with any other PFP. But that identifier has been used for people to get new jobs at firms. I know of several people who are hired through Wolves DAO who now have a great career. It's been used for live event activations at most of the game conferences. They hold a side event. It's been used for me to hire certain creators. And the reason for that is that to get a Wolves DAO PFP, you have to be a very active community member for at least like 6 months. So what's interesting about them is the PFP doesn't happen until you're down funnel. So they first create it as a group that you want to be a part of. You show commitment, you show you're doing things, you earn. They have their own in Discord point system. And only then, and after a vote as well, are you granted a certain PFP that's not sellable, but also lasts forever. It's a soul bound. And that has done pretty well for them. And now gaming itself is kind of on the downtrend right now. But if it wasn't, you'd be hearing a lot more about them. part of that, the value of a PFP is it's secular. It's based on, what sector you're in, where is it at, and the world of entertainment and interest. But yeah, PFP communities are far from dead, in my opinion, and they're certainly better than membership cards because you can put an interesting identity to it. There's a reason why there's a growing amount of people who like going to Comic-Con and cosplaying and being a character. It provides them escape from who they are, or allows them to identify other people within a crowd. So yeah, they're not going anywhere. They're probably just going to get bigger over time, but the way they monetize will be vastly different.
I think I agree with nearly everything. The one thing that got me thinking, hearing Jonah talk through that, is I was not familiar with WoovsDAO and their soulbound token. When people first started talking about NFTs or PFPs in particular as soulbound tokens, I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. Like, why would you want to buy something you could never sell? Like, it kind of defeats, part of the purpose. I'm starting to become like Steve, do you think soulbound PFP NFTs might have a moment? Like, could become, like, I think of not just WoovsDAO, but also how Mega ETH did theirs. Like,
well, I think Mega ETH is a really interesting case because they're one of the first real ICOs of our time. We haven't had ICOs since, I don't know, 2019 is the last one I can think of that was meaningful. So it depends on how you slice and dice a PFP. I think if you're buying PFPs to trade, then I think most sold-out PFPs won't have their moment. But if it signifies a club or a membership or something you've done in your life that has significance, then I don't think those are ever going away. I think as on-chain becomes more popular, and by the way, I think the reason it is, as someone who's tries to build stuff, is because doing things on-chain is actually cheaper than doing it in Web 2. It's becoming cheaper because of the tooling. I think people are going to want to show that they've had milestone accomplishments, and I don't think having a piece of digital painting or a patchwork painting with patterns really represents anything. I think you want to have a digital identity that represents it. So I think there's a lot of ways to cut it. I think one thing that we haven't seen yet that I think would be more exciting are morphing identities. And you couldn't do it before, you can do it now. But based on your on-chain history, your on-chain actions, what you're doing, you can have a PFP that changes over time based on who you are, almost like an on-chain mood ring, right? And I think there's some novelty there that people don't really play with. There's a lot of ways to slice and dice it.
This is so two things about this. First of all, I don't want to lose shred of this one. Then I'll go back to something you previously said about the chasing trends, because I think that was a really good point. I think number one, though, the point you made about on-chain identity, I think people underestimate. That's the thing I think people vastly underestimate, is that when you make a there's a reason why if you go on Facebook, your friend who's Disney crazy has a picture in front of the Magic Kingdom castle. There's a reason why another person who's a marathon runner has their 22.6 marathon medal around their neck in their profile pictures, because your identity matters to you with things you do. And so I think your point about that, as far as the on-chain identity and the evolution of it, is really interesting, because you could have people who have a very serious tie into a brand. It's the amount of people who have Browns PFPs who are Browns fans, or Lakers PFPs who are Lakers fans, or whatever those are. It's I
think right now that'd be really cool for on-chain, and maybe they'll do it, maybe they don't. I mean, Courtyard is. I heard briefly, because I was in the shower, that there was someone up here who's basically like Courtyard. They do RWA cards, I think.
Beezie, yeah, Beezie, one of our sponsors we did a segment with. Yep.
Right. It'd be really cool if, instead of thinking of the PFP as the focal point of trading, it's really these RWAs. Maybe you trade cards, maybe you trade Rolex watches, whatever. And every time you're lending or doing something on chain, or you're doing something interesting, maybe the character that you have, maybe their eyes turn green, right? Maybe their hair, lights on fire. Maybe there's something with the lending and the buying of RWAs that changes the identity. And you could do really cool things like that PFP. It doesn't have to be on your Twitter profile. It can be on the dashboard of the site. And it's like, oh, that PFP signifies that these guys are like, they're really great peer-to-peer lenders, or they really have an awesome collection of Pokemon cards, or wherever the hell it is, right? And I think the signifier is almost more important than the trading of the signifier itself, because you can do a lot more in that way.
I think this is it, Steve. This is unpacked this morning. Is what they're not dying. We're just we have seen consolidation and dilution at the same time, and I think this is a good one. I'm gonna collect my thoughts. May send out a thread later today. We're lacking innovation. Like the innovation, like I'm thinking back to 21, 22. It felt like every week there was something new and exciting, something different. It was something novel or something we hadn't thought about. Some of it was simple, or some of it might have not stuck. A lot of it probably didn't stick, but whether it's evolving and someone mentioned, imagine combining that with AI. I know, Think has a mint coming up next week that's unique and different. I think getting back into a innovation phase where we're seeing more experimenting on chain, I think that would bring some of that feeling that I know I'm trying to interpret what your feelings, but I think more new innovations, different things where it feels. And this again, I'm trying not to take any shots at any of the recent NFT PFP mints, right? Because they've all done fine, but for the most part, it's been more of the same, right? Like we've not really had anything necessarily new introduced, and I think it is exciting to be a part of new novel creations.
But I think the nuance there, just to build on what Jonah said, I think two things. One, I think the idea of an evolving PFP based on your activity is a fucking banger. Like using AI to kind of do that. Like the idea that your profile would evolve. It reminds me of, this is going to make me seem really nerdy, but back when I played poker to pay my bills back out of college, before I got a job as a TV news reporter, I did this achievement chasing on my Xbox where I would go to Blockbuster Video, which still existed. I would rent games for my Xbox or 360 or whatever I had at the time, probably 360. I would play the game. I would do all the achievements, go all the way through Tomb Raider or whatever it was, get my 1,000 achievement points, return the game. And when people would go to my profile, I'd be like, holy fuck, this guy plays a lot of games. Like you're about that life. Like it shows, not on chain, but in a profile that you've accomplished some shit. That in a PFP, which doesn't even have to be a PFP, but on a personal, sort of dashboard. Number one, I love that idea. But number two, to your point about the innovation thing, again, I'll go back to the point Jonah made at the beginning there, which is innovation that is actually relevant to the brand that they represent is what matters. If apes do innovation relative to entrepreneurs and builders, that is relevant. If they do innovations that are just chasing the latest trend, that is not relevant. And I think we've seen what happens when brands chase the latest trends instead of actually doing the thing. And that's one of the things that when we go back to VeeFriends, they're not trend chasers, and they never have been. The initial VeeFriend utility was a token gated ticket, which is a logical use for NFTs. But they use them to give you access to things that they like partnerships with Mattel or Staple Pigeon or whoever it may be. They're not chasing those trends. And I think a lot of people do trend chase to say, well, everybody's doing this, we should do this too. Like I remember there's a brand, I'm not going to say who was like, hey, we're dropping an Ordinals collection. Can we come on the show? I'm like, I don't know. And then dropping Ordinals collections wasn't as big anymore. And they're like, hey, now we're dropping a collection on Abstract or whatever, and making it up. But the point being, they do this. And I think the idea of not just chasing trends and liquidity, building within your community and actually doubling down. I think one of the things we unlocked this morning for me is that the sense of identity and being part of something matters, and understanding what you said, being part of something, having innovation that's related to the brand you're actually building, and actually concentrating on building towards your brand and not just being everything to everyone, and having a sense of identity. I think that the idea of the evolving PFP is something that I think is really interesting. Again, imagine if you achieve a certain level of trading and it represents who you are, or your collector, like the Beezie example. If you collect over 50, you get this thing. Initially it could be a badge. People love flexing and signaling badges. Why did I play Yahoo Fantasy Football and Fantasy NASCAR back in the day? Because I wanted to get these stupid badges that would go onto my profile that would show that I played this thing and got these trophies that weren't even that important. It's like signaling, yes, this guy knows sports and he plays fantasy and he plays all the sports and he knows all the sports because he's a fantasy NASCAR trophy and a fantasy golf trophy. So I think those things do matter. But Cap, I know you got a screen share up and we got a couple people on stage, so I'll let you go around through hands before we wrap through here.
Yeah, just a couple quick shout outs. Michael shared in the chat, giving some flowers to Egg on chain. It's on Ape Chain. Collection evolves under your direction using parts claimed from holding, all backed by fully producible models with a plan to release the keys to everyone. Still innovating and experimenting for the future of jewelry design and ownership. In addition to that, our friend Sarah shouted out Monkey Zoo, our friends over at Chia, talking about morphing elements on chain fusions on Chia. Has posted all the light papers, created a number of short video explainers, and Monkey Zoo said as soon as they have Fusion Zoo up and running, we'll be in people's inboxes showing how the tech works and why it works for gaming assets. So yeah, appreciate you, longtime listener, friend of the show. Let us know when the time is right. Would love to have you on and talk a little deeper there. So there are new innovations occurring. There are things happening. To your point, Steve, it needs to be specific to the project to some degree. And I think the rate of innovation, there was a lot of copy pasta, a lot of the rate of innovation slowed. And even just talking through this, it is kind of somewhat of a breath of fresh air. Feels like it's coming back a little bit, and appreciate all the experimenting. And speaking of Ape Chain and experimenting, Shadows goes live today. I did pin it up top. If you're not familiar, the quick TLDR is your ape, your mutant. You'll be able to use them on Ape Chain and other chains without having to access your vault that holds those assets. We've got Michael coming up here as well. So Steve, we can get through hands and get this wrapped. I know we're 10 after here, but I do think hopefully that as the tech has improved, the UI has improved, we've got things like Shadows that weren't available previously. Hopefully we do see more of experimenting mode back from these founders. I see no hands on my end. So I see we have, I don't know if you got hands up on your end, but I saw Matt from, looks like Wolvesdow jumped up, as well as Michael.
Wolvesdow, we'll go to Matt in a second here. I was going to say, cause I am familiar with Wolvesdow. And I do think Wolvesdow, I had seen it and I was kind of familiar with it. I knew they were soul bound. I didn't realize this sort of initiation process, which is almost, I don't want to say like a frat, because that has a negative connotation for some people to it, but it's the idea that you have to earn your way in, and then being soul bound on top of that makes it that you earn your way in not to sell. It's not like grinding for a whitelist and selling it. It's grinding to be part of a community and then becoming part of something and having that identity tied to it. I think there's something to that. And I think it's the higher effort stuff versus the trend chasing. And again, you need to, the key that comes back down to, and I'll throw to Matt here in a second, because I think Matt's going to probably be far more articulate about this than I am, is that the idea that you are tying an identity to what you're doing and you truly care and have a personal investment from a emotional connection standpoint matters. And I think that has been fleeting with the trend chasing, with the lack of community efforts, with the lack of things. I think there are a lot of elements that went into it, but Matt, feel free to get in here. GM, appreciate you coming up this morning.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this. And I think Wolves is definitely a community. It's not for everyone. Jonah was part of it and left and for his own reasons. But I do think that doubling down on what you do best is fantastic. And I always thought that the first thing that Bored Ape should have done is bought a yacht. That would have been amazing. If you guys had bought a yacht and done that and sailed all over the world and had apes on it and done all that kind of stuff, doubling down on what your premise is, why people supported you in the first place, your lore, going into your lore, the lore gets created in places like Wolves. For example, when you're initiated into Wolvesdow, you're like a trial member. And then as you contribute to the community and don't extract, you receive meat for juicy alpha or really good takes. And when you get enough meat, you get an SBT, and then you go to carve, and then you have that. And even if you've left, and even if you're not part of it anymore, that is something that signifies you were part of this community and you contributed and you meant something at that point in time to Web3 gaming. And I think every community has that kind of anchor, that thing that everyone believed in, that thing that everyone wanted to pursue. And like, I like apes. I really think that you guys have so many opportunities, like the Made by Apes, the branding. I've seen a kid in Stockholm just wearing a bored ape t-shirt saying bored on it. No idea where the kid got it from. But I like this, the ownership of decentralized ideas, bringing in people together from all walks of life and creating something. I think this is innovation, listening to your community and doubling down on what makes you successful. Trend chasing has destroyed Web3 gaming. It's absolutely destroyed it. Unless you hit every single trend, you're most likely out of runway. Like, this is terrible. Like, it was play to airdrop, or it was NFT mints, or it was all of these things. There are now so many predatory companies sitting on top of all of our projects, whether you're an NFT project or your game project. There is people out there, agencies or others or tech, willing to exploit you with 20K a month retainers to try and just take and extract from what you do best, with the idea that you can raise more money from your community if you pay these people. I think the true innovation is listening to your community and doubling down on what everyone enjoyed and the feelings that we got. Like, 21 was a crazy time. It was some of the best times. And I do think we should return to that in some way, innovate more.
I agree. I had a first of all, well said, and second of all, like, I love the idea of like actually doubling down on what you're good at and what you do. And third of all, I'll even throw one more thing in there. It's just like, one of the things I wrote about in my book is the idea that when these brands were starting to hire, like my job being like in charge of community at Starbucks initially, before he got like kind of bigger, like the director of vibes that Thread Guy was at, the Tally Labs crew for Jenkins of Valet, like, that's a missing job that we thought was going to be a very real job title. The same way Chief Digital Officer seemed like a silly job title, or some of the other like jobs seem like silly job titles. Like, that is a very real job that I'm surprised hasn't had more fruition in Web3, because it is the opportunity to double down on your community and make sure that you are connected with them and connected to them. And I think that we're missing that now. So agree with you on that. And I think doubling down on your identity and who you are and what your brand is, which is a branding exercise. I think almost all PFP communities could have a branding exercise of who they are and what they're trying to be. And I feel like none of them take it seriously, just like we talk about them not taking seriously marketing, communications, and community. And then I think number two, like doubling down on the things that, the things that your community wants to see once you've built that community. Because if you have built a community around this idea of what you want to build, then assumedly your community has a pretty good idea of who you are and who you are not. And then when you listen to them, it's going to help you build accordingly to make sure it's not just about pumping floor price and financials, but actually about, unless that's what your community is about, if it's a trading community, but making sure that it's actually trying to build things that your community wants to do and use. Michael, let's get you in here, and then we will get ready to wrap it down. Michael, GM.
GM. This is a great conversation here, and much needed. I think Matt made a couple of great points, including the.
Ooh, Michael, I think we're losing you.
Are you?
There you go. Wait, you're back. Don't move a pinky.
I'm back. Okay, just cut me off if I start sounding robot-y, and maybe I'll join back from my phone if I need to. But I do feel like Matt hit great points that talk about, it's not just predatory companies that are looking to take funds away from you. I think those exist. I think the big issue for me is that most projects, especially nowadays, you're not going to command millions of dollars on your mint. You're not going to command a huge amount of money. But most projects after mint need to build the same functionality that almost every project tries to build into their thing. It's a simple dashboard. It's a simple point system. It's a simple to reward your holders. And that alone, most people are going to spend $10,000 to $20,000 or $5,000 to $20,000 to build this out from different people all across the space. And I feel like this money is just wasted over and over and over again on the same thing. I think ApeChain and ApeChain Hub is starting to kind of realize this and building these kind of functions into a hub that they hope that community can kind of take advantage of. But I think one of the biggest opportunities here is for somebody like ApeChain to, and they're starting to do this again. I got to commend them for what they're doing already. And the community itself is building these snippets of of tech that can be utilized by other communities without having to spend large amount of money on dev work and stuff. And we need that in order to push forward innovation that people are trying to bring. You know, I'm trying to build in these parts to my collection of egg that evolves over time, but it takes a lot of time and effort to build these things. And you know, I think that hopefully, you know, the goal is once you build these things to release it and give it to everybody so that they can use it. And I think until we get away from everybody individually having to pay for these same type of things and can make these technologies that exist that allow us to utilize and launch these things without paying a large sum, I think we see a lot more innovation and people be able to keep their funds and go farther, go longer, and explore more. You know, exploring was the point really of continuing to innovate, but innovation can become expensive.
Yeah, I would be inclined to agree. Like, I think your points are sound. I think the other thing though I just want to go back to is like, this is what's interesting about Web3 is like you had these PFPs and they had such high demand. And like, again, I think they'll talk about spoiled holders. I think they'll talk about the market. But I think the thing that they miss is that, you know, they probably took for granted that they were the cock of the walk and everybody wanted to be part of all these different communities. And when you were putting it out there, people wanted to buy it. And they were, you know, like, oh, look at us, like floor price up again. And you talk about everybody building the same platform. My question when I ask when they build a platform is, what is the purpose and what are you trying to build? I'm not talking about ApeChain specifically, but about other ones. It's like, okay, you've built a loyalty platform. When I go to my Delta Sky Miles, I know it's going to show me how far along I am in my status. I know it's going to show me how many I have pending. I know it's going to show me what I can redeem. I know it's going to show me what my latest summary was there. And I know it's going to show me what other advantages and deals I can take advantage of. Like, that is a purpose for that hub. It's not the same purpose for every single hub that you have. And so when you have a hub, what is the purpose of the abstract global wallet? What are they trying to build out there? What is the purpose of, like, when you talk about the hubs they're building, I think it matters to say the hubs and the things that they are building, the loyalty programs need to be purposeful to what they are doing and what they are building against. And I think that's the problem is they're like, look, we built it and it has badges. It's like, okay, what are the badges? That's going to be used for like an airdrop or tracking loyalty. Okay, then what for, right? Why am I doing that? Why am I earning that? And I think like when we talk about like some of the other like pieces that we even talked about earlier, like where you could have a hub with a personalized sort of PFP that updates based on your activity. Well, that's a lot more personalized and gives me a reason to be there and check it. Oh my God, did I do this today? Oh shoot. Like the same way like somebody might buy like another flight to get to the like next level of status because they're that close and it's a big deal for the next year. Somebody might say, oh, I need to make one more $40 purchase here and that's going to get me up to this next level of thing in this aesthetic I want to buy and I need some of whatever they're selling anyway. Great, I'm going to do that. But I think one, like, again, if you were defining brands in this space, how many of them have done meaningful brand work? And I'm not talking about like paying a consultancy that gives you the same deck that they give to everybody else and they just swap out your name and pretend like they're doing something different for you. I'm talking like how many of them done real brand work about who they are and who their target audience is? Then how many of them know what their target consumer looks like? Then how many of them are building products for that target consumer? Then how many of them are taking feedback from that target consumer to make it work? And then how many of them are actually doubling down on amplifying the people in that group to make them feel heard? And I think that that's what we're missing a little bit. And we've seen community kind of dying off as a result. And I think that's where we have the misses here. So I agree. I think purpose has to be built into these. And again, this is crazy to think that in like June 2021, I had a conversation about like the fact that it's weird that PFP brands are trying to be everything to everyone instead of having more specific niches or trying to be like actually more purposeful with their brands. And we're in 2025 and it's still the same problem. So I don't know, Cap. I'll leave it at that. Any other cleanup or things we missed or anything you want to add before we let everyone get out of here?
Yep, rapid fire. Speaking of ApeChain and innovation, got to shout out the Introverse. 600,000 transactions in the last few days. I'm not sure if you checked that out, but some things bubbling up over there. We also have, I mentioned the ApeChain staking migrating today. That pin post is up top as well. In breaking news, since we were on the show, the Pudgy Penguins account introduced collaboration with Soul Strategies, announcing the official Pingu validator will give you a competitive APY of 7 to 11% on your Soul while helping with the institutional adoption of Pingu. Stake below. That is again pinned up top. And we don't have time to get into it today, but we'll kick it to tomorrow. Just another conversation regarding Kaido. You might have opened up a can of worms unknowingly. Just more grumblings there. And I pinned up a post from Crypto Leon and ICOB. They just made more changes, and TLDR, like the founder responded, mindshare is sentiment weighted, and this particular tweet was labeled by the LLM as negative towards Polkadot, and basically nerfed the score there. So again, deeper conversation. We won't get into it today, but I think, there was also another take on, we were talking retail a bit and onboarding, and there was a chart on the Binance coins that have been added this year, and all but like 3 of them are red. Yeah, I think we've got a lot to talk about tomorrow. We've got a good day queued up. A good conversation. Really appreciate everyone who tuned in. Congratulations to our Beezie Clawfee with Captain winners. Shout out to Beezie for sponsoring that segment. Greatly appreciated. If you haven't set up your Beezie account yet, head up top and hit that referral link. Get your Beezie account set up. Get ready for next week. And final hour here. It's tax day in the U.S. Get your taxes filed. Awaken.tax. Use code COFFEE. And then last but not least, smash the reminder on the carousel. I'll pin that up top all the way to the left for the shows for the remainder of the week.
Yeah, 100%. I have some thoughts, maybe some threads to put out later today. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with my day because my mind is spinning from the conversation this morning. And it really just spun up when I was looking at the rare sales this morning right before the show and asking the question, like, what's going on with PFP community? So glad we had this discussion.
Why is Shiba King crying? What did I say wrong there?
Shiba King? What happened?
Yeah, he kept spamming me the cry emoji. I didn't know if I said something incorrect there.
I don't know. We shall see. But that said, let's let everyone sail off into their day. Appreciate everyone coming through today. We will talk to everybody bright and early tomorrow morning, as always, at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everybody.
Thanks for tuning into Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin. We hope you enjoyed the show, and remember, nothing we discussed today is financial advice. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Welcome to the future.